I suppose, given my imminent godhood, these primitives should really be beneath my attention. Still, no score is too small to settle, I always say.
You would turn the full fury of this mighty warship on a lone anthropoid? Tell me, Megatron, where's the honor in that?
You dare use the H-word to me?
I apologize. I merely felt our power should be conserved for the larger battle.
Duly noted. And ignored. Too much energy. Yes. 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 Oh, yes. Yes.
Happy 4th of July weekend to our American listeners, and happy Great Value Brand 4th of July to our Canadian listeners. See what I did there? That's what I like to call Canada Day. Oh, welcome to episode 47 of Too Much Energon, the Lasercomb podcast. Already fumbling my words, but we're powering through. Too Much Energon is the Lasercomb podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I am one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I'm your other host, NeoCal.
So NeoCal, how did you fare in the ungodly heat wave that we just experienced in the Pacific Northwest?
Okay, so before any listeners give us fucking shit for talking about the weather again, there actually was an ungodly, unprecedented, the hottest day ever recorded on the island we live on. Yeah. And it was actually impossible to go outside.
Yeah,
it was 41 degrees Celsius at one point, and I'm like, shouldn't be half boiling temperature.
Yeah, it on a Tuesday there at one point, because me and my partner went out for dinner that night, and well, we went to a pub and they
presumably air conditioned,
but they ended up sitting us outside on the patio because the inside was completely full, and we're like, for fuck's sake. And according to my Apple Watch, it was 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is like I think is like 42 Celsius, and let me tell you, it never gets that fucking hot. It was hotter here than it was in like California.
Hotter here than it was in California or Florida.
Yeah, that's just it. It's utter insanity.
Our American friends, there were Twitter posts and stuff saying like, "Why the fuck is Seattle like 30 degrees hotter than LA?"
Right.
Yeah. You mentioned that to me, but I saw a lot of my Seattle Twitter sphere people like going nuts. So it just wasn't just us Western Canadians. It was that little area. Hopefully that's moved on to go pester the Albertans and the Saskatchewaners.
Well, it wasn't too bad today. I think today it was it peaked at like 80 Fahrenheit. I'm trying to teach myself Fahrenheit because well, that's where most of our listeners are, and we have some American friends now. And an American co-host on another one of our podcasts.
It's true. I think she's learning both quite well because she interchangeably uses them.
Yeah.
So she's figuring it out.
Yeah. And taking inspiration from her, I'm trying to do the same.
Speaking of heat.
Yeah. Stealing my segue, my planned segue. Yeah. Speaking of heat.
That wasn't me, folks. He thought about that first.
And if you want proof of that, subscribe to us for $5 a month on Patreon, where you can hear outtake/preamble audio of this and every other Lasercomb podcast we do.
And like 5 minutes of me making shadow puppets. behind this.
Purely in audio format too, so it's a hell of a bargain.
Oh yeah. Wow, I never thought about that,
Yeah, so speaking of heat, an announcement was made regarding the upcoming Transformers movie.
Oh yes.
The movie itself was announced last week, and I forgot to talk about it on last week's podcast, but next Transformers movie, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. The Beasts are back, baby. They've announced Optimus Primal, Rhinox, and Airraiser as maximal characters that are going to be appearing in the film.
Amazing. I'm so glad Bird Mom is making a cut.
Alongside Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and the Terrorcons. I don't know. They've also confirmed Predacons too, so. But apparently the main villain of that film is going to be a Terrorcon named Scourge.
Terrorcon.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
Terrorcon! Terrorize! Wow, you did that so much better than I did.
Yeah, it sounded like we both did it perfectly. if Pterosaur isn't the leader of the Terrorcons, I'll be very disappointed.
If Pterosaur isn't in this movie, we riot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Optimus Primal going to be a character in Transformers Rise of the Beast. And immediately, like, I shit you not, I got a Twitter notification within minutes after this information went public for a petition that someone wanted me to sign. Friend of the show, so I'm not throwing shade at them. But,
no.
It was from a friend of the show, a very passionate Beast Wars fan, to sign a petition to bring back Gary Chalk as the voice of Optimus Primal. Which, you know what, I get it. Like, they brought back Peter Cullen for Optimus Prime, because he did the voice of Prime in the original cartoons, and they brought him back for the movies. Yeah. So I get it. I was never a fan of that choice, to be perfectly honest. I remember back when the first Transformers movie was in development, one of the big frontrunners to voice Prime was George Clooney. And I would have been down with that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, I think he would have done a good job. But yeah, they got Peter Cullen, so it makes sense that Beast Wars fans would be like, bring back Gary Chalk. And I'm like, whatever, yeah, I see it. I'll sign the petition. I think petitions are such a fucking waste of time in general. Like, with anything. But I
don't know if there's proof of them accomplishing anything, but...
Especially online petitions.
I swear that I didn't just get 1,000 bots to sign.
Yeah,
sign my petition.
Well, and back in the day, like, door-to-door petitions, like, you actually had to put the fucking work in. So I feel like those, but like actual,
you put a contact number and your signature, yeah.
And someone would literally have to go door to door collecting signatures. So I feel like back in the day, petitions like that held more weight than like online petitions that go on now.
A university student came to my apartment one time to protest the HST. And I said,
oh, I remember when that was a thing.
Well, why do you want to protest this? And they tried to explain some things to me, and I'm like, I mean, this will be better for like most people. Like, why is this a big deal? And they were kind of like really trying to sell it, and I'm like, do you have a petition to keep the HST? And they just like walked away. And I was like, oh.
Because I'll sign that one.
Because I do auditing, right? And let me tell you, when the HST was around, much better for me at least.
Yeah.
But that was just something for like university students to protest and feel like they changed, and they did. But I feel like a lot of them didn't know why. Just HST bad.
I remember a lot of like blue collar people. Yeah, being really against it too. I didn't know enough about it to give a shit one way or another. I'm just like, oh well, it's It's
Anyone
like
listening, they were combining. It's basically
sales
a
tax.
harmonized sales tax. It was combining our provincial tax and our federal tax. So state and federal taxes into like just one chunk. So there's less groundwork needed to be made for, I don't know.
The way that I looked at it was, and this is a very, very simplified way of looking at it, and I fully admit that I know nothing about economics at all. In fact, I'm terrible with money in general. As for the video viewers of the show can see, I buy like exorbitantly overpriced Transformers, for instance.
But look how cool they are.
Yeah. But basically, like, I understood the HST as being like, so the GST, the government sales tax, is what, like 5%, and the provincial sales tax is 7%. Now we have we've combined them, and we have the harmonized sales tax, which I think was like 11%, but it was more things were taxable. So I'm like,
yes,
mathematically, that's just easier to figure out.
Yes.
And like that was all I cared about. So when it came around, I was like, okay. And then when it went away, I was like, okay.
Yeah, same. I was like, huh.
Now, some people on the internet weren't reacting that way when the voice of Optimus Primal in the upcoming Transformers Rise of the Beast film was actually announced.
Better conversation point than the boring taxes of... Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
But no, people had some words.
Yeah, so within like maybe a day or two of all these petitions going live, well, it turns out Hasbro didn't give a shit. Hasbro and Paramount Pictures didn't care because they announced that Ron Perlman, motherfucking Hellboy himself, is going to be voicing Optimus Primal in Transformers Rise of the Beast. And I saw that, and I'm like, you know what? It would have been cool if they'd brought back Gary Chalk. But Ron Perlman is an accomplished actor in his own right, and he has the gravitas in his voice needed for a role like Optimus Primal. Cool, I'm on board.
Yeah.
That was not a common take I was noticing on online. Oh no. There was a whole lot of Hasbro doesn't give a shit about the fans. Paramount doesn't give a shit about the fans. This is an embarrassment. I'm boycotting this film. And then that spilled over into people bitching about War for Cybertron Kingdom, the upcoming Netflix series, also not bringing back any of the original voice cast. And yeah, there was a whole lot of just vitriol about the whole thing, and I don't really get it.
I don't understand boycotting that you something that you claim to love, and saying I'm done. I'm not going to like watch this. Blah blah blah. Yeah. But like, are you a fan of the show, or are you a fan of the voice actors?
And well,
right? Because
yeah.
if you're a fan of the show, you want to see Transformers.
Yeah.
And it can still be good.
Yeah.
Like you and I have spoken about the War for Cybertron.
So hyped.
On Netflix, right? And you convinced me to like start watching it, and I was like, this is very good. Right?
Yeah.
But apparently that's not the squeaky wheel gets the grease or something, right? Like, yeah, we always hear about all the negative things because people that hate something will post a lot more than people that like something, right?
The squeaky wheel gets the energon. Cheers.
And in this case, the squeaky wheel is me.
Yeah, no, I was seeing people just being like, oh, this movie is going to be complete dog shit because they didn't bring back Gary Chalk, or like War for Cybertron Kingdom is going to be absolutely terrible. Like, I already know it's terrible because they didn't bring back the original voice cast. And I'm just like, I'd rather wait and watch it before I decide whether it's good or bad. I'm not... Look, I love this show, but, like, I'm not so married to the voice cast that...
Why
like,
aren't we angry that they have a different animation team?
Yeah. Or a different writing team.
Or do you know what I mean? Like, why... There are many people behind the project.
Yeah.
The animators are fucking important, right? And it's just they're actors. They're voice actors, and they like. But people always get mad when there's like a new fucking Batman. So
Well, and that was something that I thought about too. I'm like these are well, now they're enduring characters that, and this isn't even the first time they've been reused. Like Optimus Primal was appeared also voiced by Ron Perlman. So like them recasting these characters isn't even unprecedented. Hell, the fucking video game had like a completely different voice cast doing like dipshit sound-alikes.
And Ron Perlman has more recently been Optimus Primal than
Gary Chalk, yeah.
Than Gary Chalk.
Yeah, and
it didn't even matter who they chose. I mean, he's an accomplished voice actor already. He's like the narrator in the Fallout games, right?
Yeah. War never changes.
That's Ron Perlman, yeah. War never changes.
And now Beast Wars never change.
Beast Wars never changes.
Except they do.
Hellboy gets to voice Optimus Primal. Maybe I should be. Yeah. Anyways, I understand like people's concern and how much they loved the original, but I also don't understand being so upset by it that you're emotionally sabotaging your chances of enjoying it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's...
Yeah.
But I also like... I feel like a lot more people have the currency known as fucks to give out. And I have barely any fucks. Like my fucks have my fucks have runneth over long ago. I look upon the field which I grow my fucks, and behold, for it is bare.
Yeah,
I don't have enough energy to care. I'm just excited that there's Beast Wars stuff. You know what?
Same.
What if Hasbro was like, you know what, fans? You don't fucking get anything now. It's all canceled.
Yeah,
would they be happy? No. I'd be like, no. Can we please have Beast Wars stuff?
Yeah.
Even if it was the derpy fucking terrible voice actors from the video game.
Yeah.
Yes. We meet again, Megatron.
Yes, the planet has Energon. Too much Energon.
And we're cast.
Yeah, we're cast. Oh man, I would love to I would do that shit for free.
We should quite like very seriously, like voice actors, do the entire intro from episode 1 with just you and I.
Oh man, we could do that for like the intro for like the 25th anniversary episode that we're planning for later this year.
There we go.
Hull breach at Sector 7. Guidance systems failing.
I have to go Keanu when you do. Who is that? Cheetor?
Yeah. A little torment, I think, first. Yes. Side guns. Hoo-hoo!
Well, so look forward to that.
yeah, that's a I hadn't even considered that. That's a fucking golden idea, man.
but it sounds like we're in agreement that we don't think that, to the people that this is important to, we don't think they're dumb.
No.
Right? But we just we're okay with anything.
Yeah, the official stance on of too much Energon is that we're fine with Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal, and we're fine with an entirely new voice cast in War for Cybertron Kingdom, because we're just excited that Hasbro's doing something with these characters again.
And would I not be excited if Gary Chalk did do it? I'd be like, holy shit, Gary Chalk is Optimus Primal.
That's cool.
But listen, I want to just add one thing. It would be weird because all the rest of the voice actors would be different. To me, that would be weirder.
Yeah.
I'd rather have all new cast, right? Than one or two voice actors that were the same and then the rest different. It would mess with my head. It'd be like, oh, weird, there's Rat Trap. Oh, and there's Dinobot. But Optimus is different. Like, do you know what I mean? If Scotty was... Yeah.
I felt that way about them bringing Peter Cullen in to do Optimus Prime in the original Transformers movie. So it's like, okay.
Because everyone else sounds different.
Because everyone else was different. It's like, okay, like we don't have Frank Welker back as Megatron. He ended up being Megatron in the later movies, but for the first couple, it was Hugo Weaving.
Right. He stepped down,
Yeah.
But to me...
reading interviews, Hugo Weaving, back in the mid-2010s, like a few years after he had already left the role of the voice role of Megatron in the Transformers movies, he gave an interview where he talked about his experience on the movie, and he was just like, basically like, yeah, I didn't care about it. I got paid. I went into a studio and read lines for like a half hour. Never even met anybody involved. Never met Michael Bay. Never even talked to him.
Easy money.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that.
Fucking shades.
Yeah. I respect how frank. I respect how frank he is about it.
Yeah. He's a serious actor, goddammit.
They're like, oh, well, why did you stop after like the second or third movie? He's just like, it just wasn't interesting anymore. It was barely interesting to begin with. Anyone. It was barely interesting to begin with, but it just stopped being worth it.
So it sounds like we're in the same boat in that it's kind of all or nothing for us. Yeah. It would be weird hearing one of the voice actors be the same and everyone else different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to get that out of my head. So all or nothing for me. The fact that they're all new people, I'm okay with.
Yeah, it's like...
So maybe we should make a petition where every single voice actor is brought back.
Even depth charge.
I don't think he's gonna be. He better not fucking be in it. I will sign a petition to keep depth charge from being in the Beast Wars movie. God damn it!
I would sign a petition.
Bring back
to just like completely. Actually, you know what? I'll fucking say it on air. I would sign a petition to completely erase seasons 2 and 3 from the canon. Fight me. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's a glimpse into our season 2 and 3 summary that will be coming soon.
Yeah, coming next week. Well, but before we get to that, this week we are talking about Nemesis Part 1 and 2, the final episodes of Beast Wars. I can't believe we're here.
That's it, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. So, yeah. This is episode 47. 46. Oh, God, I feel like an idiot right now. This is episode
46.
46. Fuck, I can't believe I messed that up.
I have my notes because I did the intro from last week, and I wrote 45.
Right. I'm normally way more on the ball with that, but I apologize, listeners. I was dealing.
Welcome to episode.
I was dealing with some horrendous allergies from my cat.
Too much
allergies. My cat came into the house from being outside all day, and he like jumped on my lap and like rubbed his head like into my face and whatnot, and very shortly afterward my face started burning with ungodly pain, and like my eyes were watering and my nose was plugged, and like I ended up having to like smear like medicated cream all over my face and like rinse my eyes out and use a bunch of nasal spray. And so I'm a little, it took me about 2 hours to recover from this, so I'm still a little cloudy.
Yeah,
So
I had like stomach issues. It was a
yeah,
big thing.
it was bad news
Well,
bears.
anybody that bad news bears, bad news Scorponok.
So this is episode 46 of Too Much Energon, where we are talking about Nemesis, Part 1 and 2, the two-part series finale of Beast Wars, the 51st and 52nd episodes overall. They originally aired on March 6th and 7th, 1999, respectively.
Like back-to-back days.
Yeah, back-to-back days.
Fuck.
Last week's episode, Other Victories, featuring the Vok and their Kit Bash Transformer, aired on March 5th, so the day before. So it was a wham bam bam.
Single-handedly the worst episode of Beast Wars. And we will fight everyone on that.
Yeah, we tore that one apart. And we'll see how these ones fare. Cal, do you want to take it away?
Oh, yes. It's spooky. There's lightning. The sky's gray. So to recap what was happening, the Predacons don't have a base, and the Maximals have a new Maximal.
Yep.
And the Maximal is practicing Kung Fu in the volcano where the Ark is.
Yeah, he's doing this weird like
shadow boxing kind of.
Yeah, with like chi energy or something. I don't fucking
alien
know.
energon.
I don't know. And Optimus
is narrating it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Optimus is narrating this with some like straight up like biblical / like Shakespearean shit. He's reading from the Covenant of Primus, or as Cal referred to it off air, the Cyber Bible.
Cyber Bible.
That's what we'll be referring to it as for the rest of the episode. So Optimus is reading from the Cyber Bible. And
what does he say? A mighty warrior came down from the sky. And what does he say? A rainbow is upon his head, and pillars of fire beneath his feet.
And what is it? And the great dragon was cast out onto the earth, and his followers were cast out with him. And even Rat Trap, like, so Rat Trap comes into frame, and even he is just like, "What the fuck are you talking about, bud?"
And while Optimus is narrating this prophecy, it's funny that we've never heard about this bullshit till now.
What Rat Trap says is, "What in the 7 spiral galaxies are you jabbering about?" I fucking love it.
Before that happens, the Tai Chi moment, Tiger Hawk? Not Tyga Hawk. Tiger Hawk? It's Tiger Hawk, right?
Yeah, it's Tiger Hawk.
You know what's funny? You know how we used to make fun of Optimus calling Tigatron Tigertron?
Yeah.
He calls Tiger Hawk Tyga Hawk twice.
Oh, really?
In this episode.
I didn't even notice that.
So
that's hilarious.
Mixing it up, yeah.
And really, people want this guy back as Optimus Primal? Guy who can't even
remember his lines. But the Tiger Hawk is making like Dragon Ball Z energy ball in its hand.
Yeah.
And then Kamehameha blasting it. It's a fucking alien. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
anyways
some alien bullshit. Yeah, so Rat Trap's like, "What the fuck are you on about, bud?" And Rhinox mentions that it's the Covenant of Primus, and only 2 copies are known to exist. And
guess what? Optimus Primal has one.
Optimus has one. I have things to say about that later on when we'll get there.
How does Rhinox know what the tenets are what the verses are. If there's only two in existence, I presume
Okay,
this
so
digital copy. Oh, okay.
okay, so only 2 copies are known to exist. And so one was in the Ark, so that presumably that's the one that Optimal Optimus is reading from.
Yeah.
And later on in the episode, to jump ahead because who cares, when Dragantron gets to the Decepticon ship, the Nemesis, he finds the other copy there, and he's reading from it. And he makes a comment about how, like, reading that was why he took the name Megatron. And I'm like, if there are only 2 copies in existence, how the fuck did you read this, bud?
This is what I think.
Okay.
I think there's digital copies of the text, but
Yeah.
as far as like a book with paper in it, there's only 2. There's just 2 physical copies. That's what I thought, because that would make sense, because that's how Rhinox recognizes what it is.
Right. Yeah, why the hell would Transformers have, like, paper books?
Yeah, that's actually odd to me. That
Yeah.
they would have a paper-bound, like, book.
Yeah.
It's a very
weird.
human thing. Yeah.
Yeah, these are exceptionally technologically advanced creatures, so...
It's never shown them reading a magazine or a book.
Just imagine like Wheeljack or something, like sitting in like a dentist office waiting room, like with like one leg like crossed over the other, with like holding a magazine.
Just go turn a page and it just rips in a giant metal fucking hand.
He's trying to read like a human-sized magazine, so it's like super tiny.
He's just like destroying the pages every time. But apparently
he says, "I read them for the articles."
I read them for the articles. I can't do Wheeljack right now. Apparently,
I can't even.
That almost
remember.
sounded like Quick Strike.
Yeah, and I was...
can't read. Yeehaw!
I was kind of like channeling Jazz a little bit there, because I actually don't remember.
There was a little jazzy.
Yeah, I don't remember Wheeljack's voice right now.
He's like dad. He's like the dad of the Transformers.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Rhinox is like, this is our last opportunity to end the Beast Wars once and for all, blah, blah. And
so I just paused it on 221.
Yep.
It's not full of paper. There's a cassette in it.
Oh,
with a video.
Oh my god, that's kind of amazing, actually.
How did I miss that? So it's an e-reader, except it has a cassette.
I love it.
It has audio and that's really cool. I can't believe I missed that before.
I love that it's a cassette, because like that's
See the holes for the speakers?
Yeah, that's keeping in line with like retro, like future tech from like 1984.
Retro futurism.
Yeah.
80s tech futurized. That's my favorite version of the future. My favorite version of the future, by the way, like the 80s version of the future.
Yeah, I love it too. Like Blade Runner and shit like that. That kind of aesthetic.
Exactly, yeah. I really like that they've got like computers in their vehicles in Blade Runner, but like it's old shitty DOS.
Yeah.
But like there's an AI on the on the program that can answer like any question.
Man, all we gotta do is find them there Predacons, then we can end the Beast Wars once and for all. Yeehaw, I'm a drink a beer. Said Rhinox.
Yeah.
I haven't done Trucker Rhinox in a long time, so I feel I wanted to bring that. This is our last opportunity to do it.
He's been in the background for so long. I like that he's still in the background for these episodes, but he has one moment we'll get to that's
he has a pretty
epic.
Yeah, he has a pretty great moment. So
So
yeah,
the
they
Predacons are hiding in the fucking mud,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, they literally are. And
And
quick
there's stupid Predacon hijinks.
Yeah, Quick Strike bitches about like not wanting to hide from the Maximals, and Megatron's like, "We are at a tactical disadvantage." Yes. And then
Rampage
Rampage.
like shakes Megatron and he's like, "Where is she?" And he's like, "You led us to defeat. This is your fault." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And
Yep.
then Dino Clone like produces his spark and squeezes it to torture Rampage.
Yeah. Uh yeah, so to quickly summarize this
Yeah.
scene, like they're arguing back and forth. Uh Inferno is like, we need a new colony. I shall find it. So Megatron's like, oh, excellent. Take Quick Strike with you. Yes, go find us a new base. And then he
Is their
mentions,
mission? Sorry, go ahead.
oh, their mission's completely fucking pointless.
He's just getting
He's just
the
getting rid of
idiots
them.
out of the way, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Like that's why he always sent them to go build jamming stations.
right. He was like obsessed with jamming stations in season 2, and he
See,
was
when I
always
was a
sending the dumb
kid,
ones.
when I was a kid, I just thought that was something that you do because there's a lot of episodes where, or at least one, not a lot. There's episodes where the Maximals signals or radio is jammed.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, good, they're putting up all these posts. Now that I've watched it with you, it's to get the idiots out of his hair.
Yep.
And I watched this shortly before recording, and it's to completely just get the idiots away from him. Like, this is a stupid ass mission. Go find another base. And Inferno's like, of course, royalty.
Yes, my queen.
Waspinator. Yes, my queen.
Oh yeah, he sends Waspinator off with them too.
Waspinator with them. And Waspinator has some sick fucking burns this episode, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, Antbot not find own thorax with both hands and a road map. And they do some Three Stooges pranks on each other.
Yeah, that's
Pulls his antennas or something.
surprisingly clever from Waspinator.
He's got some good fucking zingers.
But yeah, so
But yeah, I love that. He's like, oh yes, Inferno, take Quick Strike and Waspinator and go find a new base. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, Tarantulas' treachery may lead me to victory yet. That scheming spider was up to something. Yes. And he refers to him as Unicron Spawn. So,
Did I miss something?
well, this answers the question of like why Tarantulas was trying to destroy the Ark wholesale a few episodes ago. And you were like, "Oh, like wouldn't that take him out as well?" And I'm like, "Well, that gets addressed. It gets addressed. It's in a quick like throwaway line of dialogue, and no explanation is given beyond that."
Unicron changed Predacons into the. Do they have a name, or are they Unicronians? Unicronians? Because Galvatron is just Unicron energized Megabyte.
G1 Megatron, yeah.
Megabyte. Wow. I think that's the first time I've done the switcheroo.
Yeah,
Anyone listening, I also do we do a reboot podcast. And boy, let me tell you, I have called Megabyte Megatron like a dozen times at least. But yeah,
Bob's Burgers with Megatron.
But are there Unicronians? I don't think so.
I have no idea. But apparently Tarantula...
What the fuck are they talking about?
Apparently Tarantulas and the Tripredacus Council are descendants of Unicron. Because last episode, Tarantulas was like, I and the Tripredacus Council have different origins that are not of Cybertron.
Do you know anything about that? Or is this it?
No, I know nothing about it. I just know what the show has told me, which isn't much. But
yeah, if you're listening and you know all about that, like absolutely email or comment or Twitter us. We'll drop our handles at the end and like
yeah.
fill us in on that lore because I'm so fucking interested how Tarantulas is descended from Unicron.
I wonder if the Transformers wiki will be helpful.
It has to.
Um,
But while Christopher's looking that up, what is the good Predacons that are left? Dino Clone 2, Rampage, and Megatron. Uh, they they start looking around the wreckage, looking for something that Tarantulas left behind to help them. And indeed, immediately, Dino Clone 2 finds a hatch that goes down to another secret tarantula space.
uh-huh.
Yep. Apparently he had like, when did he have the time to make all of
Yeah.
and the resources? Where did he get the metal and the resources to do all this?
Yeah, well, he did kind of disappear from the show for a little while.
There were whole strings of episodes where Tarantulas was just fucking gone.
Yeah.
But like, how did he get all the scrap metal to make new parts? Like, is he melting all this shit down? Like this metal ladder, right? Where did he get the metal for the ladder? The computer components. How did he make all this stuff?
Yeah, I have things. I have questions about that when we get there.
There's a big ass question about how Tarantulas made things coming up later that I know you're going to comment on.
Yeah. So from the Transformers wiki, according to Bob Forward, who is one of the creators of Beast Wars, originally Megatron's line about Unicron's spawn was not intended to be fact, but instead an insult, roughly equivalent to how useless flesh creatures may metaphorically deride each other's parentage. However, the line developed a life of its own, much like Pterosaur's line about the dark side. Eventually, the connection was inserted into 3H Productions' Primeval Dawn storyline, but there's no evidence that Megatron actually knew of Tarantulas' connection to Unicron when he made that comment. Larry DiTilio, who was the other creator of the show, would later say that Bob regrets the Unicron spawn line. He wasn't really thinking about it when he dropped that one in. Okay.
So it's a line that the creators regret.
Yeah.
There we go.
But, I mean, Tarantulas
It's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, and, like, I can see why the fandom latched onto that, because, like, in the last episode, Tarantulas did mention that he and the Tripredacus Council are not descendant of Decepticons. They have different origins. And, like, the like Unicron spawn like throwaway line, even if the writers didn't really intend it, like that kind of at least gives a little bit explanation.
It's a little bit of a tie-up instead of just introducing something new. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have more questions about that, but that's what Tarantulas meant. Cool.
Yeah. But the fact that that's not actually what the writers intended, now I'm like
meant to be an insult.
Yeah, now I'm like, okay, so what the fuck was Tarantulas' origin then? And the Tripredacus Council. The show leaves
me wonder.
The show leaves so many like unanswered questions. It pisses me off.
What are those dudes with like the multiple heads that created the Cybertronians?
Oh, the Quintessons.
What if they're like quintessentials?
Quintessential. They are quintessential Transformers. Yes.
They are quintessential oils.
Yeah, so who is it? What Silverbolt and Depth Chart after okay, what's going on here? Oh yeah, so they find a hatch down, the Predacons find a hatch down to Tarantulas' like another one of Tarantulas' secret lairs that you were
that you were
alluding to earlier, and
A gigantic secret base, the biggest we've ever seen.
Yeah, they climb down, and then Silverbolt and Depth Charge show up, and Optimus is like, wait for... they radio in, and Optimus is like, wait for backup, and Depth Charge is like, fuck you, Protoform X is down there, bud. I'm going in.
Down there. I'm a rabid dog. Nobody can stop me. So he goes after them, and
I'm a dog
Optimus
chasing
is like,
tires. I wouldn't know what to do with one, even if I caught it.
I'm like a depth charge chasing Protoform X. I wouldn't know what to do with him if I caught it. Maybe stab him. Blow us all up.
So back at Arc Mountain, Optimal Optimus transforms into his like horrendous jet mode, and like is talking to the Maximals, and is talking with his hands when he's in jet mode. And I bitched about this on the show.
Will know that Christopher loves this.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. So he's talking with his hands.
But he has no mouth that moves. He's just... A jet shouldn't have hands and feet.
Yeah. And those hands should not be expressive. Like, he shouldn't be moving them around. He shouldn't be moving them around like he's...
I would rather
Emerald
they didn't
Lagasse.
animate... I would rather they didn't animate the jet's hands moving.
Yeah,
and
same.
he was just still.
Yeah, same. It's like if he's in a jet mode, then he's in a jet mode. Like, he shouldn't have limbs that move.
For instance, Optimus Prime can talk to anyone while he's in his truck mode.
Yeah.
But the front of his grill doesn't open up, and he doesn't... And
or
the lights on the front, the lights don't blink like eyes.
Yeah, you don't see the headlights like looking around like whoever he's talking to, like shifting their focus, who he's talking to.
That would bomb it. Don't give them ideas, man.
Oh God. Yeah, so he's doing that, and he's like, all right, bots, time is now. Let's go kick Megatron's ass. Fuck yeah.
It's time to win the Beast Wars once and for all. And so off they go. And while we join the non-derpy Predacons, Megatron, Rampage, and fucking Dino Clone 2, they are in a gigantic secret base with a giant machine. Can't quite tell what it is. So, Rampage doesn't like it.
So Tarantulas apparently has gone all Sequest DSV in his off days. Yeah, there's this giant, like, not exactly a submarine like that, but there's this like big like submarine type thing.
It's huge.
It's like
a weird steampunk looking contraption with a dome in the front.
Yeah, and it connects to a track, so it's basically a undersea train.
You ever played BioShock? It's like the beginning of...
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
the bathyspheres is what they were called. Yeah.
Wow, good memory.
Yeah. I haven't played that game. I haven't played that game.
I should replay those.
So
I love the first game. Anyways, yeah. So they're in Rapture.
Yeah, there you
basically.
Go. They are in BioShock land.
And Megatron's like, yes, Dinobot, Rampage, yes,
yes, yes, yes, yes.
And boy, is he ecstatic. And he's like, into the submersible, quickly. And I noticed that only one of them goes into the submersible.
Yeah, it's just Dino Clone.
But Megatron doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Rampage
he turns into his tank crab, and he rides the rail down himself.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but it's probably more fun. But I mean, he's a crab. He's a giant enemy crab, so he can survive in the water.
Yeah.
And off we go. Sequest, people. It's cool. The lighting and everything. It's as the giant steampunk like platform rotates and it dumps it down the track like a roller coaster. It's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah, I like the... somewhat ironically, because I'm a person who is afraid of water, like absolutely terrified of the ocean. I really like the look of undersea stuff. Like I like playing video games that are set at like the ocean depths.
Bioshock is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Uh,
Subnautica.
Soma. Soma's a really good one.
I only got 10 minutes into it, and then I moved on to something else. Is that a really good one?
It is, yeah. There's actually they eventually released a patch for it that I think they called it safe mode, where it's you're technically invincible. So like and so Soma is like it's from the makers of Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So it's what I like. It's part of a wave that's been going on in horror games since Amnesia was released a decade ago now.
Yeah.
Of like basically run and hide. I call them run and hide simulators.
Run and hide simulators. Yeah.
Yeah. But Soma has they released a patch about a year or so after the game came out called Safe Mode, where the enemies can't actually kill you, and playing games like that with that gameplay mode enabled is infinitely more enjoyable, especially games that are really rich in atmosphere like Soma, because like the actual like and you could make an argument that it kind of takes away like some of the tooth of the
Now you're not
like,
afraid of the monsters.
you're not afraid of them. You're not as afraid of them, but for me personally, like it more or less removes the frustration from like
of dying.
Okay, and having to
old me, exactly. Old me would have disagreed and been like, well, no, then like, seeing the monster up close isn't like scary or whatever. So Layers of Fear came out, right? And as far as it did this perfectly. Layers of Fear, by the way, Christopher, if you like games like that, Layers of Fear
I've played Layers of Fear. I haven't played the second one,
it's
but
the
I played
best.
The first one.
Layers of Fear is like the best run and hide scary game. Holy shit. That is a psychological shit. But as far as I know, you don't die. Depending on what choices you make all throughout it, you end up in different rooms, you wake up in different like areas, but you don't have like a you died screen and then you have to restart that little checkpoint or whatever. Which
right.
And by it being nebulous and never really killing you, it's scary because you don't know if things can. Layers of Fear 2, but speaking of water, is on an old boat.
Oh, cool.
And it's leaking and stuff, like a Titanic era, like they're big I always think of Metal Gear. Big, like
valves.
Valve like door things, and some of them open up and it's a mind fuck. But there's a monster in it, a thing that can kill you. And after the second or third time, it really kills the you're just like, really? I have to do this part like for the third time, and that's not scary. And they had a difficulty setting on it where they were like, play this is as intended. And again, same thing, a month after the game came out or so, they were like, oh, there's a new difficulty mode where the monster can't kill you, right? Yeah. But they meant the other way around. Well, when the monster reaches you, it just puffs into smoke, and you're like, oh, fuck. That's way better.
Yeah. Well, and like games like that too, like I found it's part of the reason too why I appreciated safe mode in Soma was because in games like Outlast, it was scary like the first few times, but eventually it just became annoying, especially if you kept dying in the same section. It's like, okay, this isn't even scary anymore. Like I'm just getting irritated.
Yeah. And that's why I think the first Layers of Fear keeps that its scariness on, because you feel like things can kill you.
Yeah.
But you can play through the game without dying.
Soma
That's has the trick. Yeah.
Soma has a really interesting story too, because like you start to feel like you're ahead of the story a little bit. Like for the first like hour or two I was playing the game, I'm like, oh, okay, I've got the twist figured out. I know what's gonna happen, yada yada yada. Right. And then the game just addresses it. And it's like, oh, okay, this thing that I thought was gonna be this big twist is actually the story is just like, yeah, that's what this is, and we're just gonna like reveal that like early on, and then we're going to do something infinitely more interesting with it.
Oh, interesting. They play their hand and they're like, actually,
Yeah,
okay, I'll give it a shot.
yeah, the thing that you think is going to be this big, like shocking, like twist ending actually gets revealed fairly early on, and the it ends up driving the story forward, and the story goes in very interesting and unexpected places. Yeah,
I'll have to
it
check it out.
goes
So
on
there's
sale.
some water. There's
Goes
some
on sale a
spooky
lot.
water games, people.
Yeah,
Soma, Layers of Fear 2. What was the other one?
yeah. Bioshock, Bioshock Two.
Bioshock. There you go.
There
Under the Sea.
there was another one that I played that was originally a VR game. Obviously, I don't have a VR headset, so I didn't play it in VR. But they released a VR version that was playable without a VR headset, and I played that. I can't remember the name of it now, though.
Oh, Man of Medan, the Dark Pictures anthology. That's set
Oh
on
yeah.
in the
Oh yeah.
water.
Yeah, yeah.
Man of Medan, yeah. Oh, there's a Resident Evil first person like blaster game.
Resident Evil Dead Aim is set on a tanker ship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got aquatic enemies. There,
Yeah.
there you go. We
Oh, Resident Evil Revelations as well. Originally a DS game that ended up getting
Oh
ported
wow,
to PC and consoles, I think back in like 2013. It's actually pretty
and
good.
it's water themed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also
I
set
had no
on a
idea.
tanker. Yeah.
Cool. There you
Yeah.
go, people. All your aquatic horror needs here on Too Much Energon.
Yeah. Speaking of too much energon, let's get through this episode.
Yeah, let's. So this is really dumb. Depth charge in his like eagerness to like like satiate his thirst for protoform X starts like rummaging around, and like a fucking Looney Tunes skit, he opens up the hatch to the base, right?
Yeah.
And Optimus is like, depth charge, wait, no. And there is a comical like Acme like
Oh, the
pack
dynamite.
of dynamite
Yeah.
with a fuse on it, not like you know how Rat Trap has like futuristic looking like little proximity or timed explosives or whatever. No,
Yeah.
just like a good old fashioned from Earth, like 3 sticks of dynamite with a
Yeah.
fucking fuse.
Yeah, all rolled in a bunch. Yeah, it's straight up like
Yeah.
Looney Tunes shit.
Yeah, depth charge is like, oh, slag.
If we didn't need yet another painful reminder that the creators of this show really like Looney Tunes.
Yep. I
Um,
was like, really? Is this happening? Yeah, this is happening.
so it blows up.
And everyone gets blasted.
For whatever reason, the guy who was closest to the dynamite depth charge is perfectly fine, but Silverbolt's all fucked
And
up.
the guy that was farthest, Silverbolt, is fucked up.
Yeah, fucked up real bad. And
I thought he was gonna fucking die. Like, I thought the show was killing him off here, and I'm like, depth charge, you piece of shit. Like, but no, he's just pulling a waspinator.
Yep. So
Yeah. His hands are falling off, and he's sparking.
yeah, Cheetor and Black Arachnia show up, and Black Arachnia is like, "I'm taking you back to base to go to the CR chamber," and
And he's like,
He's like-
nonsense, 'tis but a scratch.
it's just a scratch. It's a flesh wound.
You have no arm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
she's all like, "Listen here, bitch, I'm taking you home," and he's
Yeah,
all
she's
like,
like,
"Yes,
obey
dear."
your commander, bone brain. And his head falls off. There's like a spring. He's like, yes, dear.
Yeah, comical, like cartoonish springs, like more Looney Tunes shit.
Yeah. I like the yes, dear. I like the relationship. I I dig it.
Um,
And Cheetor's like, I'll escort them back, and I'm like, escort them from what? From what? You know where some of them, the Predacons, are.
Yeah.
What are you protecting them from?
Well, we don't know where the Three Stooges are, so.
That's true. They could be going to the Ark.
Yeah.
Be fair. The fucking three.
Larry,
I love
Curly,
that
and
so much. I actually like that they were sent on a stupid, like, pointless mission during like the most pinnacle
very
moment for
pointless
Megatron.
mission.
I love that. I love it so much. Oh, Cheetor's got Silverbolt's arm in his mouth as they're like carrying him back.
So Optimus and Depth Charge start digging to get underground to Tarantulas' Sequest DSV base. And speaking of Larry, Curly, and Mo, they're over at some like series of caves that the Neanderthals have set up, and they're like, oh, this will be. Inferno's like, oh, this will be our new base. The royalty demands a new colony, and we shall take it by force.
Chains set in the mountain, yeah, and it's like Inferno, which is they're inadvertently doing a really smart thing for the Predacons, because Inferno orders the fucking Quickstrike. He's like, we will take this colony, and Quickstrike's like, well, I don't really want to live with a bunch of like critters. And Inferno's like, oh, well, their lives do not need to be necessary. They are enemies of the colony. And Quickstrike's like, oh, now you're talking my language. And I'm like, weird that he would presume that they wouldn't kill them.
Right.
Because Quickstrike shoots first and asks questions later. Also, did everyone forget that their like sub mission, like the big goal previous to these episodes was destroying the humans?
Who can say?
I don't know. Who fucking cares? And anyways, yeah, the idiots decide to go and kill all the humans so that they can move into this shitty ass series of caves. And someone's got.
Oh, I like killing humans! Woohoo! Yeehaw!
There's nothing like killing defenseless children. Woohoo!
And
I'm a terrible fucking character.
Yeah, so Inferno orders Waspinator and Quickstrike to attack, and Waspinator, my boy, Waspinator, finally,
fuck yes,
he says no, and they're like, what?
I said no.
Yeah. Waspinator,
I love this.
Straight up, he's like, yeah, he's sick of being evil. He's sick of getting blown up all the time.
He calls Inferno Sub Commander Kiss Butt. The fucking lines off of. Oh, by the way, what was her name? Ava, or I can't remember. The girl, the little girl proto-human. Yeah. She's like behind the ferns listening to this.
Yeah, and Waspinator tears the Predacon logo off of his head and is like...
And says he's sick of being evil.
Yeah.
Sick of being Predacon.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, you can fet a big juicy one on Waspinator's big, fat, stripey, and he's like turned his butt and is like showing his like wasp thorax to them.
Yeah, he's like, Waspinator sick of serving Predacons. And if you don't like it, Antbot and Two Head can kiss, what does he say? Pucker their mandibles and plant a big, wet, juicy one. Right here on Waspinator's big, fat, stripey.
And then they just fucking blow him up.
They just fucking blow him up. And he flies apart into chunks.
And I'm like, oh, poor Waspinator. He's finally taking a stand.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But his head rolls away, and I'm like, well, he's gonna be fine, right? This has happened to him like 10 times.
No, they don't have a hot tub heal machine anymore, though.
That is true.
Yep. Because the
fate of Waspinator is
hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
And
then
Inferno and
they
Quick
high
Strike,
five and rub dicks, and they're like, "Yeah, we killed Waspinator. We're great."
and they
And I'm
comically like
cool.
charge into battle. Like their running animation is so fucking stupid.
It's purposefully like fucking
Flailing,
like
basically.
stupid flailing. Inferno's shooting his gun up in the air. Fucking Quick Strike
Yeehaw!
has his arms up in the air. And I love this. The proto-humans start screaming and like, "Wah, wah, 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 wah," and they lift up like war horns
Yeah.
below them. I'm like, wow.
And they all
These humans have come a long way in a short time.
They all start throwing spears at them, and
like, I swear they didn't even have fire or weapons. Like when they had just found them, they were just living like chimps.
Yeah.
Right. So they've come a long way.
It's motherfucking Axe Ape.
Axe Ape, man, he's fucking smart. He's leading them.
Yeah, he's got to be the one teaching them all this shit. He learned from Dinobot. He learned from the best, and now he's passing on his wisdom.
Fuck. I love that line. He learned from Dinobot. He learned from the best, and he's passing on the wisdom. And indeed, it seems like they're kicking ass. Yep. They're hitting Inferno and Quick Strike with these fucking like presumably stone spears.
Yeah.
And there's a comical moment where Quick Strike gets knocked back, and then Inferno looks up, and there's just like a fucking like rainstorm of spears that take out Inferno. So presumably the humans they're winning.
Yeah.
And Waspinator's head is moving around with his tongue, and he's like, "Oh, Waspinator has plans." And that fucking little girl human
Una, I think
sneaks up.
Her name.
Good memory, yeah. Una. She comes up and she starts smashing his head. And he's like, "Fleshybot, wait, listen to Waspinator." Doesn't seem like she does.
No. She's all like,
I do the same.
Fuck you, bud.
I do exactly the same.
So back at Tarantulas's like little Sequest base, Optimal, not Quick Strike, Depth Charge, and Tigerhawk show up, and Optimus like
freaks out.
Optimus freaks out. He's like
he figures out what Megatron's doing.
Yeah, he starts typing some buttons, and he's all like, "Oh shit! Megatron's found the Nemesis, the Decepticon warship. Depth Charge, and go after him."
He's like, "Depth Charge, I know we have our shit, and you have your own thing, and we have our own thing. Please fucking listen to me. At any cost, please stop them. You're the only one that's aquatic.
Yeah.
Like you have to stop them no matter the cost."
Yeah.
So that's Optimus being like, "You better fucking die trying to stop them."
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, what does he do? He fights Rampage instead. God damn. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, he
at any cost.
Yeah, and speaking of Sequest,
Beast Mode Manta Ray.
No, the Megatron's submarine reaches the Nemesis, and we actually get to see the ship.
It's on rails, warship. Right? Like
yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah.
So it's on this like rail, like guided, like kind of system, right? How the fuck did Tarantulas have the time, the resources, and the manpower to build? Was Tarantulas repairing the Nemesis by himself?
Yeah, I mean, he's not aquatic, so how was he even doing all of this?
Does he have millions of those little spider bots and they made this? Yeah, you're right. He's not aquatic.
Yeah.
His underwater welding license paid off, I guess. Whatever. Yeah, we get to see the Nemesis like underwater. This is shot really well. I'll give the episode that. It looks fucking cool.
I think overall, both of these episodes are directed extremely well. I have some issues.
It looks cool.
I have some issues.
Oh, we've got other issues. Yeah. But they're directed well. It looks so fucking cool underwater. It's huge.
We get a brief flat.
Huge.
We get a huge with a Y. We get a brief flashback with Optimus explaining to Tigerhawk like what the Nemesis is, and that it's like we see like a visual like flashback of the Nemesis and the Ark in space above planet Energon 4 million
Shooting
years
at
ago,
each other.
shooting at each other, and they both crash and yada yada yada. And
Rat Trap says, "We're all gonna die."
yeah, because Optimus radios in to Ark Mountain and explains like what's going on.
He's like, "Hey, serious shit's going down. Just so you guys know."
Just so you guys know, we may actually die.
That's my line.
Inside,
Primus, help us.
inside the Nemesis, Dragontron and Dino Clone 2 are walking to the center of what appears to be the bridge. And what does Megatron say?
So he's got a book in his hand, homie.
He does. He's like, "Excellent. Even after his demise, the spider's treachery remains my best asset. Observe! A refurbished ship with a transmetal cell, a Predacon control console, and, best of all, a Covenant of Primus. Cheers!"
Oh, so he's suggesting that Tarantulas was repairing the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That makes sense why it can actually fucking fly.
So I have questions about that now, then. Why did Tarantulas, even bother, trying to blow up the Ark a few episodes ago? With, Quick Strike, radio controlling Optimus's body. When, he's obviously been at this for a long time. And apparently now...
He had to have.
And apparently now, the ship is functional and flight-worthy. We'll find out very shortly. It takes off. So I'm like, why didn't Tarantulas just take off in the Nemesis and be all like, "Fuck all y'all," and blow everyone up? And then fly away back to Cybertron.
Good point.
He's been trying to leave this goddamn planet for the entirety of this series, and now he, literally has a way to do that.
How convenient that just off-screen Tarantulas was working on this huge project.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's really rad. That the Nemesis is a factor in the finale of this series. I think it's
the
dope.
fact the Nemesis is the key part of the key plot for the finale. It is great, but that is weird.
That's very hokey.
Tarantulas just spent the better part of a fucking year. Even a year by himself?
Many Saturday afternoons.
Many Saturday megacycles were spent on this.
So
quickly, all circuits online.
Yeah.
I'm a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to move on. I'm complaining about this endlessly, and there's literally no explanation for it beyond just shoddy writing.
Tarantulas is. It makes you wonder what the hell anyone else was up to. Too busy playing Predacon Xbox, or building jamming stations. Look what this motherfucker accomplished on his own.
Yeah, too busy playing that Beast Wars fighting game that we saw Rat Trap playing earlier in this season.
Yeah.
Outside the Nemesis,
we get what we've been waiting for all season. Another depth charge and rampage fight.
Yep.
To be fair,
it's a good fight.
Kind of fucking cool.
This is the best of the fights that we've seen between them.
It is an underwater Dragon Ball Z, an underwater Highlander fight. It is the samurai battle.
Yeah, they're surrounded by unstable energon crystals, which I guess those still exist on the planet.
I Or are they stabilized? Because when they stabilize, they turn into like cubic.
Cubes, yeah. They turn into cubes. But
Are these stabilized?
These are crystals. This is still like raw energon.
Right, and those were the rods. And we remember it transformed most of the it stabilized most of the energon, but
Yeah,
not
in the
the
area of
transwarp
the
explosion, right?
yeah, the quantum surge, yeah. It they mention that it all the energon in the area of the axelon at the time was either detonated or converted into stable energon cubes. But they're like, as for the rest of the planet, but we haven't really seen it come up much. But here we have raw energon cubes.
Think of how much energon they could make if they just squeezed them into like energon pillows.
How much energon, you ask?
Too
much energon.
That's actually relevant here. Whatever's going on underwater, the fight here,
yeah,
because they grab the crystals and treat them like fucking swords. It's kind of great, actually.
Yeah,
we actually get to bring up Highlander naturally in a podcast. Yeah, an explosion might happen in a little bit.
Yep.
Because there's too much energon. And but I mean, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but Depth Charge gets what he's always wanted.
Yep.
Duel to the death with Rampage. It is a cool fucking fight. It's a samurai fight.
Yeah, it's a cool fight. Go watch it.
Yeah. If you like Dragon Ball Z or sword fights that are underwater or Highlander, just watch this scene. it's kind of cool. Yeah. So we're on the Nemesis.
Rampage is like taunting Quick Strike, being like, "Oh, you were sworn to protect Station Rugby," which I found funny. Literally, just Station Rugby.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "You had friends there, tasty ones, if I recall." And yeah, they fight back and forth.
Line, I was like, just in case you wanted a reminder, he was a serial killer. It deserves no sympathy. And I'm like, I understand he likes rubbing it in. He likes tormenting and torturing people. That's just going to make Depth Charge's resolve double down.
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to piss him, like...
Well, and indeed, they fight to the death. Dueling back and forth.
Which we will see. Yeah, there's some Dragon Ball Z moves there. It's quite cool. But we don't see a conclusion to that yet. We jump onto the Nemesis for some Shakespeare in the Park last time. Dinobot's like manning all the stations. He's like, we're at maximum power somehow.
Yep.
And the Megatron has his copy of the Covenant with the cassette tape in it.
Yep.
What is he saying? And as it were, a great mountain, raging with fire, arose from the sea. Thrusters online.
Let's make history happen, Dinobot. Yes.
Do it. And what? Am I to believe that Tarantulas repaired a 1,000,000-year-old, huge, gigantic space, not as just a spaceship, the biggest ship in Cybertronian history. The Nemesis is fucking huge. If you've ever watched any of the movies or the Netflix War for Cybertron, it's like...
It's way bigger than the Ark.
One Predacon cannot repair this bitch. But what the fuck do I know? Because it's powering up, folks.
Well, think of what a plucky go-getter of a Transformer can accomplish in 50 weeks.
That's true.
Yep.
And presumably he doesn't sleep. Sorry, but now we got to the conclusion.
Yeah, Depth Charge is like trying to run an energon crystal like right into Rampage's chest, and he's resisting. But then
the scene
smiles
between the German and the Jewish guy at the end of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. But then
Not
Rampage Then Rampage kind of just smiles and then like lets go and lets Depth Charge just stab him. Right, an
Why?
energon crystal right into the spark. Because I think Rampage knew that would like him exploding would kill Depth Charge too. So this was kind of like his final like fuck you to Depth Charge, was killing him along with him.
But that would have happened regardless if he let him or didn't. Like, why let go if he was going to get stabbed anyway? Oh, the gesture of him letting him kill him is insulting because he's like, oh, I'm just going to let you do it. That's what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that like Rampage, like, instead of just fighting, Rampage knew that like in this moment
He was losing?
in this moment that like if he gets stabbed in the spark, like he's going to explode. Like he's going to die anyway, so he might as well just let it happen and take Depth Charge with him. That was my takeaway anyway.
But if he lost anyway, he would have taken him out anyway. So why not keep fighting?
But now he's choosing to let it happen, though.
Oh, so it's like his choice to. Yeah. Okay.
He's choosing to let it happen to like make the choice to take Depth Charge with him,
rather than being defeated.
Rather than being defeated. Yeah.
Even though he's defeated either way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a final fuck you to Depth Charge.
Fuck you, Rampage. And see, Rampage, good character, very bad guy. Possibly worse than Megatron.
I would argue, yeah.
Yeah. Depth Charge, goodbye, Depth Charge. Not a bad guy. Don't like him. So I'm conflicted because I like the complex serial killer that is Rampage. Don't like Depth Charge. But Depth Charge, good guy. Rampage, very bad guy. So
yes, complex Transformer equivalent to Hannibal Lecter, basically. An even more, like a mix between Hannibal Lecter and Jason Voorhees in Transformers form is Rampage. Yeah. Actually an interesting character. Really good voice actor, too. Depth Charge.
Love these lines.
Shitty, two-dimensional, basically the Punisher ripoff with not so great voice acting.
Sometimes he maximizes and turns into a manta ray. Sometimes he beast modes and turns into a manta ray.
Like he does in this episode.
There's 2 times so far where he said maximize and he's turned into a manta ray. And there's 2 times where he said beast mode and he's turned into a manta ray. He does what he wants.
He don't give a fuck about the rules.
He don't give a fuck. And indeed, he doesn't give a fuck about stopping the Nemesis. Because he'd rather die taking out Rampage. And indeed he has.
Yep.
It leaves nothing to the imagination as chunks of both of them float to the surface later.
And Optimus.
We get an interesting moment where Dino Clone 2 clutches his chest when Rampage's spark dies, though.
Yep. He clutches his chest and like starts screaming out in pain, and we start to see him flicker back and forth between his Transmetal 2 form and his original Dinobot form.
Now, hold up. Like, we need to finish this, recapping this fucking episode quick, but hold up. There's no there's no remnant of the original Dinobot spark at all in this Dino Clone 2, right?
No.
So, what? I like it. It's fucking cool, but why?
It's fucking cool, and it actually leads to one of my favorite moments in season 3, anyway.
In season 3, same.
Coming
it's fucking
up.
Cool.
There's a moment coming up in part 2 of this 2-parter.
So they saved Dinobot's DNA or like programming personnel. They saved something in order to try to recreate a Transmetal version of Dinobot, correct?
Yeah.
And at first, Tarantulas tried, but he just made those raptors.
Yeah.
They would like freak out and bounce around when they're
And the missing ingredient apparently was the transmetal driver and an actual like spark. So he used half of
Where's
Rampage.
that?
He used half of Rampage's spark.
How come Dino Clone could torture half of Rampage's like spark to hurt Rampage and not?
And it doesn't hurt him. We've talked about
I-
that before.
Yeah. Anyways, so I'm confused why there's any Dinobot in Dino Clone 2.
DNA, genetic memory. I don't know.
If he's a clone, right, of Dinobot, then the personality might be the same, even if he has different memories.
Yeah.
So let's go with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
I actually don't think it makes sense, and it shouldn't be there. But I really like original, like OG Dinobot, and I think it's cool.
Yeah. And so Optimus sees the big explosion happen because him and Tiger Hawk are still flying around above the ocean. He sees the big explosion happen. He radios back to base and is like, "Depth charge did it, but motherfucker's dead. So long, salute."
Bum, bum, bum.
And they're all looking happy and everything. Until as one of the fins of depth charge, one of the severed fins of depth charge, like sinks down to the bottom of the ocean. Everything starts rumbling, and we get a really fucking cool shot of the Nemesis. It's so rad of the Nemesis just like actually like powering up and rising up
out of the water, it pushes the water because it's so huge. It displaces a huge amount of water.
Yeah,
and animators, fuck you! They did that so well.
Yeah,
wow.
And
I dig it
again. Like it's a very well directed scene too. It's great. It reminds me of like a.
Does the CG hold up? If you scrutinize it, it looks wonky, but like it looks like a gigantic, like city-sized structure coming out of the water, and I dig it.
It reminds me of like submarine movies, like Das Boot or like The Hunt for Red October, like the scene of like the submarine like finally like surfacing at the end.
Yep.
Yeah. And
it's cool, even as it's rising into the air, tons of water is like cascading off of it. Man, that's fucking cool. Needs to be more purple, but it's it's cool.
And
maybe it's rusted. It's been underwater a long time.
Yeah, 4 million years hence. And I like an Optimus is just like the Nemesis in a very like oh shit kind of manner. I like that this episode actually doesn't end with a to be continued.
No,
it doesn't.
It's the first time.
Yeah, it's a minor thing, but I kind of I dig it. And yeah, that's
part 1.
That's the end of part 1.
Shall we cut right into the first scene of part 2?
Nemesis part 2. Part 2. Too much Nemesis.
Too much Nemesis.
That's a word, right?
Yeah.
It's canon now.
The last episode of Beast Wars, folks, is in a jungle with a deer looking up at the sky. An antelope.
Is it a bird? Maybe it's a plane.
No, it's
Megatron.
Optimus.
No, it's Megatron.
It's me. I am Alpha and Omega.
It's me. It's me. Yes. It's me. It's MEG. Yes.
They call him Megs.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
I love that.
Yeah,
which is funny because I called him that a couple times, like season 1 or 2.
Well,
maybe I picked up on one of them calling him that. I don't know.
I don't think they've ever called him Megs in the show, but that is like something the fandom has always referred to him as, is Megs.
In this episode, they call him Megs a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end.
Take this, wildlife. Go fuck yourself. Beach with nobody on it. You get some. You get a missile too. Rocks doing nothing but being rocks next to the mountain. I'll blow you up too. He's indiscriminately shooting everything with the Nemesis, folks.
Yeah, he's just wasting power. And I didn't even notice this when I was watching the episode earlier, and I'm so glad I get to reference it one final time. But while the Nemesis is like raining down hellfire onto the landscape, Optimal Optimus and Tigerhawk are performing the old maximal maneuver of hiding behind a fucking rock.
They're hiding behind rocks against a Star Destroyer class of ship that presumably fights other gigantic spaceships or was made to destroy whatever the fuck got in its way.
Yep.
And they're hiding behind rocks successfully, not taking damage from a starship firing gigantic like Nova blasts. Rocks, man.
Not just any
You
starship.
can use them defensively. The Nemesis.
The biggest warship in all of Cybertronian history. And that's like
by a lot. It's huge.
Well, and think about too, like how much bigger the Decepticons and Autobots are, like as individuals. How much bigger they are than the Maximals and Predacons. Maximals and Predacons are like human-sized, roughly. Whereas like Autobots and Decepticons are like 20 feet tall. 20, 25 feet tall.
Huge ass.
Yeah, they're massive.
And this thing was big for them.
Yeah.
I'm glad that when it shows the bridge in the Nemesis, it is fucking gigantic. Like it has like 50-foot high ceilings and it's huge.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah, Optimus to Rhinox.
But yeah,
we have a code 1 alert.
The old maximal maneuver, one last time.
One last time, and it works. So we got a code 1 alert, Christopher.
Yep.
I don't know what that is, but we're gonna find out.
It is Cybertronian for no bueno.
Cybertronian for deploy Operation Eternity.
Wow.
And everyone, all the Maximals back at base go, huh? Except Rhinox.
Yeah.
Didn't you read the manual? God damn it.
Megatron,
so Nemesis blowing shit up.
Yeah, Megatron is spouting off like more shit from the book. And Dino Clone 2 is actually asks him, he's like, oh, you've read the Covenant of Primus? And Megatron's like, just the good parts.
There's a part of the Bible that's in Pulp Fiction, which is what this is. That whole which was and yet to come. And you will know my name as Megatron when I lay my vengeance upon you. That's the quote that Samuel L. Jackson.
So the bit from Pulp Fiction, the Ezekiel 25:17.
Yeah,
it's not actually Ezekiel 25:17.
Oh.
And
he gets that. The character gets that wrong.
So that's wrong, and also he grossly misquotes the verse from the Bible.
So the character in it.
Yeah, I don't know if
just saying some badass shit.
Yeah, he's just saying.
Because remember, he says, "I used to just think that was some cold ass badass shit to say before I iced a guy," right?
Yeah.
So you don't know if that's like a writing error or.
Yeah, I don't know if Quentin Tarantino just didn't know his Bible verses or.
I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah.
That character wasn't supposed to be overly smart.
Yeah, what was his name in the movie? Jules?
Jules and Vincent. Yes.
Yeah, Vince Vega, right.
Vince Vega.
Yeah.
Don't take your boss's wife out on dates. Part 2.
Electric Boogaloo. Heroin overdose Boogaloo.
Watch Pulp Fiction if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I imagine.
But
I imagine anyone who was alive in the mid-90s to be watching Beast Wars has probably seen Pulp Fiction as well.
I feel like, yeah, I shouldn't even, that goes without saying.
Like, I was 10 when I saw that movie for the first time. Not a terribly appropriate film for a 10-year-old, but I turned out okay.
And look at him now.
Look at me now, doing podcasts about 25-year-old cartoons. Yes.
So, there's an epic moment where rock music starts playing. Optimus gets all angry and Super Saiyan, and he's like, "This stops now!" And he jets towards the Nemesis.
Yeah.
With Tigerhawk. And I'm like, you guys are trying to fight the Nemesis?
What are you gonna go do? Just go and punch it?
But like, it probably has like several meter thick hulls.
Yeah.
Like, what do you? Like, your shots don't even destroy other like Predacons. What is it gonna do against the ship?
Yeah.
And a comically large arsenal of missiles opens up from the side of the Nemesis, like just thousands of missiles, and they all just launch at Tigerhawk and Optimus.
Yeah.
With like surprisingly bad accuracy. like they dodge like 50 of these missiles.
Well,
no, one of them gets Optimus.
Well, consider though, this is a big ass warship that was probably designed with space combat in mind. Combat against other big ass warships.
Big ass warships, yeah.
It probably doesn't have like much of a complement of weapons for essentially dealing with infantry.
Dogfights.
Yeah.
Well, it would probably use lasers for smaller craft trying to take it out, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
Because the way sci-fi spaceships are always depicted as is there's like big destroyer class types with huge railguns and weapons that take on the other big ones, and then like smaller arms to fight off like little fighters that might try to fly out, fight it.
Yeah, that's how they do it in the Star War.
That is how they do it in the Star War.
Yeah.
And I know a thing or two about Star War.
And Star Trunk. Star War and Star Trunk.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man.
What is that old saying? That Jedi saying, "Live long and prosper." May the live long and may the trunk be with you.
May the Energon be with you.
May the live long and may the Energon be with you.
There we go. That's the new slogan for Too Much Energy.
Yeah. Well,
instead of doing like the Vulcan salute, we're just like giving the finger.
Or it's
or it's like the Boy Scout.
Oh, there you go. Or what is the Hunger Games thing? Which is going to be John Cena's.
Well, no, we don't want to do that though because people won't be able to see us.
Oh, then we'd be invisible. Shit. It's just science.
Yep, that's how it works.
So what is Megatron's happy because he just shot down Optimus, and he's like, "That's one thing about the Megatron I took my namesake from. He liked his artillery big and plentiful."
And he pets his like dragon head.
I haven't seen him do that yet, I think.
Not with this head. He did it with his T-Rex. He did it with his T-Rex hand head a few times here and there. But
and the eyes would move on the T-Rex head.
Only in like some like later episodes of season 1.
Yeah.
It was weird. I wasn't a fan of it. But so Dino Clone 2 is like, my something's changed. Like my spark.
My spark has changed.
Yeah, it feels at last somewhat whole. And Megatron is kind of dismissive and is like, "Oh, yeah, probably the destruction of Rampage, no doubt. Cheers."
Anyways, go back to your post. Bring us around. Bring us around, Ensign. On the double.
Yeah. Yeah, bring us around. Vector 6-2 is what he says. On the double.
Yeah, Tigerhawk does... Tigerhawk sucks, man.
He's such a nothing fucking character.
Which was really sad because I love Bird Mom.
Yeah,
and
they were
like
great.
Tiger Dad. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, so
But like, so Optimus, you need to go back to the base and prepare your people. I will try to stall and fight the Nemesis. And part of me is like, why would you fight a starship? Why don't you try to board it? It's the people you need to stop, not the fucking ship. You're not gonna win. Like it's the Nemesis.
Yeah, if anything, like try to take that shit over and then fly it home.
There's two Predacons inside.
Yeah.
Find a weak point in it or a part that's something and try to get inside. Don't like it'd be like me trying to box a bear. Like I can bet against myself in that in that fight.
No, it would be like you trying to fight an aircraft carrier.
That's a much better. Yeah, that's a much. I was gonna say a tank, but no, it's literally me with no weapons. By the way,
just like your bare hands, like trying to
maybe
fight
a stick,
a fucking aircraft carrier.
Trying to fight an aircraft carrier.
It's like,
they can fly.
It's like it's a losing fucking battle. Like
I don't understand it. I understand that they're getting rid of a lot of characters and they want to make these episodes impactful. Tigerhawk's death is not impactful. I was like, oh, that's stupid. Anyway.
Yeah,
like he accomplishes nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dies.
Yeah. We can skip ahead the like weather bullshit that Tigerhawk does and all of that. Yeah, he fucking dies.
Oh, I forgot about that. He does some storm like X-Men bullshit. Like he controls a tornado, blah blah blah. It's boring.
Yeah, he dies.
He shoots lightning at it. Something.
And I'm like, okay, so this nothing burger of a character that I was introduced to 2 episodes ago is dead. Oh well.
Yeah, we get a little glimpse at Dino Clone because he comments and says, a final stand, a brave warrior. And I'm like, okay, we're getting he appreciates that final stand.
Yeah.
That's not something Dino Clone 2 would say.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't mean to skim over that because I actually...
No, that line was...
I actually really like Dino Clone's progression through this episode as he's, like, having a change of heart, so to speak.
Well, he watches Megatron go to shoot the giant main gun at this individual Maximal, and he whispers under his breath, "No," as he's watching him, because he's like, "Where?" He's opposing this, not physically, but he's saying no.
Yeah.
So something's going on with him. There's some hints of Dinobot's original personality that are starting to come through.
Mm-hmm.
I like that as Tigerhawk is like literally a Dragon Ball Z energy fight is going on here.
I hate that shit.
Shooting his Kamehameha.
I've bitched about it before in other episodes, but I hate that whole like energy duel thing.
You know what's funny? Happens more in Harry Potter than it does in Dragon Ball. I'm rewatching Dragon Ball Z. It happens like twice.
I also don't like Harry Potter, so.
Well, there you go. So as it cuts to Tigerhawk trying to fight the Nemesis by himself with Vok technology. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It cuts to Megatron and he's pressing the button and he's like, and he presses it harder. As if he's straining to fight Tigerhawk. And I'm like,
as if like Tigerhawk like like
pushing
like it's like him like blasting his energy beam into the Nemesis's energy beam is like somehow like making the button raise. It's causing like resistance in the key that Megatron's like trying to push down.
His finger and all of Megatron would have been like, no! He would have flown back.
Oh,
I actually think that would be pretty funny. But no.
That would be hilarious.
Instead, the beam who would have fucking thought that the Nemesis would win? The beam hits Tigerhawk, and he's disintegrated.
Yep.
He gone.
Fucking dead.
They're gone.
Yep.
Which bothers me because they were Bird Mom and Cat Dad. So, two of my favorite characters turning into one of my least favorite.
Papa Kitty.
Papa Kitty and Mama Birdie.
Yeah. And Optimus is back at the doors to the entryway to Ark Mountain, and he's like trying to radio Tigerhawk, and his like onboard computer tells him Unit Tigerhawk terminated. And he's all like, "No!" And it's like raining outside, and he like throws his arms up in the air, and then
he's
like
slamming
on
the door.
Yeah.
This ends here, Megatron. No more good friends will be sacrificed.
And I'm like, you met this fucking dude like 2 weeks ago.
No more.
You met Tigerhawk 2 episodes ago. Like, come on.
Yeah. And Rat Trap awkwardly opens the door. He's like, did you knock?
Yeah, so who has died in these episodes? What good friends have been sacrificed? So Depth Charge...
not a good friend.
They didn't even like each other. And now Tigerhawk, who... Yes, okay, Tigerhawk is like the amalgamation of Tigatron and Airazor, but it's a new character. Like, for all intents and purposes, it's not them. It's like something born of them. I think it's more akin to like their offspring, essentially, than it is actually them.
A different being. It's unfortunate that it is them because they're gone. So maybe he's mourning. If he's talking about, Airazor and Tigatron, then yeah, that fucking blows. But Depth Charge,
Yeah. And Tigerhawk as a character, you just met the dude. Like, you just met the dude, and Depth Charge you didn't even fucking like. So, who gives a shit? I certainly don't.
We cut to I just don't like that Tigatron and Airazor are gone.
Yeah. Same.
Man, no, that's bad. That's just as bad as Pterosaur and Scorponok going. It's not graceful. It does I'd rather Tigertron and Airazor have still been around and they put up a last stand themselves and died together. That would have fucking pulled at my heartstrings.
Yeah. Same.
And if they embraced each other right before they were destroyed while trying to buy Optimus some time, now that would fuck me up.
Yeah.
I would actually might tear up from that. Mm-hmm. But the ascended godly Vok created Tigerhawk, I'm not connected to them.
No.
Yeah.
No. Same.
But speaking of not connected and don't give a shit about,
we're going on
Inferno.
We're going on record here on Too Much Energon. Fuck Tigerhawk.
Boring. It's just boring. And man, they take them away for a season and a half, Tigatron and Airazor, and then we get 2 episodes of Tigerhawk. Fuck off. That I don't like that.
There's so many. And I'll talk about this more next week on our seasons 2 and 3 recap episode. But there are things like the introduction of Dragontron and Tigerhawk that really should have happened way earlier in this season. If you're gonna do these things, do them way earlier in the season.
Please, yeah.
We don't need 2 back-to-back episodes of Depth Charge versus Quick Strike Rampage. Yeah. Just fuck that and introduce Dragontron and if you're gonna do it, introduce Dragontron and Tigerhawk way earlier in this season, so we at least actually get time with them, especially Tigerhawk, and actually get time to get to know Tigerhawk as a character.
It never even showed anyone have a conversation with them. It just showed them flying around. we didn't even really get a good look at their beast mode. It's a tiger with wings. Like it looks cool, but we see it like what, once?
Yeah. It's just a big ass Fusor.
It's a big ass Fusor. Yeah. Well, speaking of characters I absolutely don't fucking care about, Inferno and Quickstrike are terrorizing the proto-humans.
Yep. And
like shooting protoforms in a stasis pod. Yeehaw!
Oh, and it's our old pal, motherfucking Axe Ape. He's back.
Yeah.
Much like America.
Just as they're...
Much like America. Axe Ape is back, baby.
Axe Ape is back. And fearless as ever. He's like grunting in the way Gary Chalk can only deliver. And he's holding like by the way, he has we thought he had lost it at one point. No. He has Dinobot's club.
Yeah.
So holy shit, he still has that weapon. And he doesn't attack Inferno and Quickstrike. He just like defiantly screams at them from atop a rock. And I'm like, yeah, fuck them. Right? And they just casually aim their weapons at him when there's an earthquake.
Well,
it's the Nemesis.
That is actually a thing that apes will do. Before engaging in violence, they will essentially try and puff up their chest, and they'll get like really loud, and they'll yell, and they'll make a lot of noise.
They'll smack things, and they'll even fake charge.
And they'll even fake charge, yeah.
Yeah, like pull away the last second.
Yeah, so him, as someone who took a few electives in anthropology, I actually appreciate Axe Ape doing this, because that is a thing that a primate would do.
Yeah, he's just screaming and like waving his like weapon and doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then he and the Inferno and Quickstrike see the Nemesis above them.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea what's happening. Like they don't even know what the Nemesis is. I'd like to remind listeners.
This is literally like whatever god they worship, like raining down the apocalypse upon them. Oh, you are muted, good sir.
Inferno looks up and sees this like gigantic thing. The sky's purple. Cut to Megatron's view of one of his cameras around like 8 minutes. 7:58. He's zooming in on Axe Ape, and Axe Ape keeps thrusting at the Nemesis. I'm fucking dying here. Are you seeing that? He's like...
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Doing this, screaming in defiance at the Nemesis.
Oh, that's...
I didn't notice that the first time I watched this. Fucking 10 out of 10 animators.
That's amazing.
And what makes me laugh more is they're watching this video of like Axe Ape like fucking just thrusting, going nuts, doing monkey shit, right?
Yeah.
And Dinobot says, that image seems hauntingly familiar.
And we get a very brief flashback to Code of Hero. And there's a visual, or not visual, audio cue of the music from Code of Hero, which that music in Code of Hero that plays when he gives the whole like tell my tale to those who ask, like that's some of the best music in Beast Wars.
Oh yeah. And he hears it shows OG Dinobot, and we can hear Optimus's voice say, "You did it. You saved the valley.
Yeah.
You saved the lives of those who live here and of those who are still to come." So there's some
metaphysical shit going on here.
I don't know if Dino Clone... I think he just gets a gist. Do you know what I mean? Like he feels it. I don't know if he actually had that vision. It's just he knows something happened involving these people.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be corny, and again, doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't really, but it's good.
Love it. Yeah.
And I think it's just good because, like, we love Dinobot. And him, like,
Yeah.
like, evil, like, Transmetal 2, like, Dino Clone, like, starting to, like, piece together who he is and
What his predecessor
a glimmer
accomplished.
of the original Dinobot coming back. Like, that's just really, really exciting.
Yeah. Because before I was like, oh, I don't like this. Why is there another Dinobot?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's gone. Get rid of this guy, right? But I love this. What does Megatron say? He's like, these primitives
Yeah,
should really be
Megatron
beneath
says
my attention.
I fucking love Megatron's line here. He's
Go
like
ahead.
like looking at his nails and he's like, "Oh, with my imminent godhood, these primitives should really be beneath my attention. But no score too small to settle, I always say. No, no, no." And like waves his finger. And he's about to press the button and fucking Dino Clone grabs his hand and grabs his wrist and stops him.
Yeah.
And
I was
Megatron,
like, holy shit.
and Megatron like turns and looks at him with a like, "How dare you?" look.
And Dino Clone responds, you would turn the full fury of this mighty warship on a lone anthropoid? Tell me, Megatron, where is the honor in that?
Oh
And I'm
shit!
like, holy shit! You can clone him. Before it was Rampage's spark, like
Yeah,
making him think evil or whatever. And even if he doesn't share the same memories, there's that honor. Like if his mind and DNA or like whatever is the same, like that means Dinobot is always honorable. And indeed, Dinobot's always had a problem with Megatron.
yeah.
Like always. So now that he's free of Rampage's spark, he immediately is already like, wait a second, is Megatron insane?
Yeah.
Which is what Dinobot did in episode 1
Yeah.
of Beast Wars Part 1 on season 1. So I kind of love that.
You dare use the H word to me? The H word.
Honor, yeah. It took me a second. I was like, H word?
Yeah,
Did he say
yeah,
heck?
honor. Yeah.
Honor.
And Dinobot looks like he's about to like get like rough with Megatron, but he backs down. And he's like,
Yeah, he's like, I apologize.
Yeah.
I merely felt our power should be conserved for the larger battle.
And Megatron responds with, "Duly noted and ignored." It's the fire button.
Duly noted. Undergod. He shoots fucking Axape with a fucking Star Destroyer lit blast.
I might
And I love
I might intro this episode of the podcast with that whole bit.
And Inferno starts like waving, and he's like, "My queen, we are down here."
Yeah, and Megatron just doesn't give a shit.
I presume he knew that they were down there, but he's like, "Ah, small price to pay to kill Axape."
That son of a bitch, he has eluded me for a season and a half now. Cheers.
And indeed, Axape pulls a maximal maneuver.
He pulls a maximal maneuver. Hides behind
And
some
he-
fucking rocks.
and he jumps in a little crevice between some rocks.
I mean, we've said he learned from Dinobot. He learned from the best.
He's learned from the best. I kind of love that Inferno and Quick Strike are presumably like vaporized, but Axape, the target, survives that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Quick Strike and Inferno. They're fucking.
Oh, sorry, Quick Strike and Inferno.
They're fucking dead. They're dead.
Yeah, they're. I don't like the looks of this. No, my queen, please. What? Did you hear something? I didn't.
I always told him I didn't like being called queen. No. Goodbye.
No. Goodbye, imbecile.
I don't need you anymore. No.
I like Scorponok better. I mean,
yeah.
that's true. Like,
yeah, he was always like...
Has he ever liked anyone more than Scorponok? I would say no.
Yeah, and
I would argue not.
Yeah. Other than kicking Scorponok in one episode with his T-Rex foot, I don't think he ever like did anything overly hostile to Scorponok either.
He'd get angry with him failing, but he gets angry with everyone failing.
Yeah.
So there's a fucking boring scene where the Maximals are like loading a bunch of crates. the ship's rumbling.
There's a fucking tractor beam.
there's a fucking tractor beam. Bring fusion cannon online.
Optimus is making a hilarious face. If you go to what is it?
Oh, by the way, Dinobot's like, we can't shoot it right now. The fusion reactor's at 65%.
On tubi.tv, go to 1042 and look at Optimus's face. I'm now tempted to make that the show art for the episode.
They're trying to power the Ark. Sorry, 1042.
1042, yeah. Optimus's face is pretty...
Just in time for one of those really ominous silences. Yeah. Fucking Cheetor.
Optimus's face is very much like...
Somehow you gotta know Megs just will never lighten up. So they start floating, and you said 10. Sorry, I'm just catching up here.
1042, Optimus's face.
Is it the one where he's like...
Kinda,
and he just looks sad?
Yeah.
He yells, "A tractor beam!"
Uh-huh. And yeah, the Nemesis is firing a tractor beam at Ark Mountain, pulling rocks up to pull the ship out, presumably so it's easier to shoot at. So I have a problem. I alluded to this earlier. I have a problem.
Big ass problem.
Giant ass plot hole here. So Megatron is powering up the fusion cannon and exposing Ark Mountain to destroy the Ark. The fucking Decepticons are on the Ark. His ancestors.
Megatron's husk. Without his spark, mind you.
Without his spark, yeah. So, look, I get at the end of season 2, like Megatron, like creating a time storm by like blowing up the head of Optimus Prime, but like, if he just destroys the Ark like wholesale, like he's going to destroy the Decepticons too, because they're in stasis lock on the Ark as well. They're still there. They're not on the Nemesis. They're on the Ark. We saw them.
So presumably, what this means is, so Earthlings, humanity, helped the Autobots win the war against the Decepticons.
Yes.
By destroying all of them, the Autobots don't win the war against the Decepticons, and the Decepticons win naturally. But then...
Not if he kills them all. Right here, which is what he's trying to do.
Aren't these just the ones that were on the Nemesis chasing after Optimus in the Ark? And there's a bunch more back on Cybertron?
There are, yeah.
But then, if Megatron's dead, how can Megatron Beast Wars take his namesake, and we have a time...
Yeah.
A time paradox, folks.
A fission mailed,
it's not
if
smart.
You will.
Yeah, a big old fission mailed. Yeah, they're Predacon. Sorry, they're Decepticons. All the ones that were on the Nemesis in the Ark there.
Yeah,
and if they just
basically the important Decepticons from G1, other than Shockwave.
The important Cybertrons. Oh, Shockwave and
Shockwave stayed behind on Cybertron. But
You're in charge, Shockwave.
basically all the important ones are on the Ark in stasis lock, and Megatron
for millions of years.
And Megatron here, his plan is to blow up the Ark while the Decepticons are still on board.
Christopher don't like that.
No, it doesn't make sense.
He's a dragon, man. He's a dragon. Why is he a dragon?
It's a giant, like, gaping plot hole that I
the stone of their protection shall rise upward in my gaping plot hole.
I unfortunately cannot shove my throbbing headcanon into that gaping plot hole. Like, I can't make it work.
Usually, if anybody's new to the show, when Christopher or I or both have a problem, we both talk. Sometimes Christopher is like, "Oh, but what if this or this?" Or sometimes we like make up something. So,
yeah,
you know what? Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
No, I got nothing. Either.
That's bad. He's gonna kill himself. If just shooting Optimus would create a time storm where there's no Maximals.
Yeah.
Shooting Megatron or destroying all the Decepticons just as bad?
Should get rid of all the Predacons, too. Yeah.
By that logic.
Including him. Which, we know he doesn't give a shit about other Predacons, but he does care about himself, so I can't see him, like, wanting to time storm himself out of existence.
And let's say the Decepticons, millions of years in the future, do beat the Autobots naturally, right?
Yeah.
If taking out Optimus Prime, G1, destroys the Maximals of the future because they don't align with the humans and beat the Decepticons,
right?
Then by that logic, taking out the Decepticons would be bad too.
Yeah.
So if one phases out, then the other should.
Yeah.
Here, this is my reasoning. You might disagree. The Decepticons would win with or without Megatron's help, and taking out everyone on the Ark, the Decepticons left on Cybertron win without the help of everyone on the Ark. Because the Autobots never meet the humans in the future. But
sure.
And thus Megatron and the Predacons would still be alive?
Sure.
Anyway.
It also kind of retcons the whole Covenant of Primus that he is so fond of suddenly in this episode.
It does?
Well, yeah, because he mentions that, like, he took his name, the name Megatron, from the Covenant of Primus.
But then if there is no Megatron in the past, then his name would be different. Okay, I don't.
Well, we find
he's insane. He's insane. This is my new answer. He's insane.
Well, we find out in the god-awful new Beast Wars comic book that apparently his name was Galavar.
Galavar. Yeah, there's a Beast Wars comic, and which Christopher is fond of the artwork for. And our friend of the show, Candace, she wanted to like the comic. Let's just say that. All of us wanted to like the comic.
Yeah, I've read the first. It's up to like issue 4 or 5 now, and I have like 4 of them like sitting on my coffee table. I've read like the first like 2, and like just haven't even bothered. I keep buying it because I'm like, well, you know, I'll keep supporting it. Maybe. And
they're not that expensive.
Yeah, and maybe they'll. I don't know. Maybe the creative team will change. Maybe if I support the book long enough, like it won't get canceled, and eventually the creative team will change, and we might actually get a decent Beast Wars comic.
Yeah, and Christopher knows a thing or two about throwing money at something, hoping that it'll change, which is why he shifted some funds around on. on Patreon.
Yeah, which I talked about in the this week's outtake. So go and check that out.
Fusion cannon at 70%.
Yep.
So what's happening here? There's a tractor beam.
Actually, this is I should have brought this up earlier at the beginning of the episode. Speaking of Beast Wars comic books, so long before the terrible current Beast Wars comic that's being put out by IDW, there was two miniseries that were released back in 2006 for the 10th anniversary of Beast Wars called Beast Wars The Gathering and Beast Wars The Ascension. They were written by a writer named Simon Furman. Simon Furman actually wrote Nemesis Part 2. This episode that we're on right now.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I just...
Have you read those?
I read Beast Wars The Gathering back in the day. It was kind of cool. It utilized a lot of characters who were toys but weren't featured in the show, and it came up with this weird quantum shift reason where they're basically slightly out of time with the cast of the show, so they're there observing what's going on, but the cast of the show can't see them because they're slightly out of phase. It's some sci-fi. It's some sci-fi bullshit.
Sci-fi stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't bad though. I never read the follow-up to it, Beast Wars: The Ascension, but yeah. Anyway, they were written by the guy who wrote this episode.
Today I learned.
And they who live as beasts confront their final cycle.
So Optimus is almost getting hurled into the engines, which are big, like clockwork, blades. Is this just a tractor beam that shreds what it's pulling in, or are these supposed to be the engines or the thrusters or something? Is this just a device to shred whatever they're pulling in with the tractor beam? What's going on here?
Maybe
there's rocks flying up and blades chopping at the rocks, and Optimus is flying up towards it.
Maybe what it's designed to do, so it's a tractor beam to pull ships in and whatnot, but if you're firing it in space, you're going to get space debris in between
chunks of whatever you're fighting.
Chunks of whatever, and space debris, thing, random little particles floating out in space or whatever.
Yeah.
And so those are going to be pulled toward you, and this thing is designed to break those down so they don't collide with the ship.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Grinds it all up.
Yeah.
Yep. Fusion reactor currently at 90% and rising.
Oh shit.
Soon it will all be over. Any Maximal still alive will perish.
And blah 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 blah, Beast Wars once and for all.
Blah blah blah, Beast Wars once and for all. Basically that's what he's on about.
That is one of my favorite things you said on this show.
Yeah, a little ways back. That could be summed up. You know how everyone's got, Cheetor says some Cheetor bullshit. If there was ever a Megatron says some Megatron bullshit, it's that. It's him ranting about how he's going to win the Beast Wars once and for all.
Yeah.
I think that was in part of the did I hear an audio clip of that at one point?
No, you just said that.
Oh, I just said that.
Yeah, you were like, I'm amazed there are actually plans on this show again, because normally it's just blah 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 blah, Beast Wars once and for all.
Yeah. And then there's an episode with Transmutate or something.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? Optimus wedges the grinder with one of his wings, and gets inside the Nemesis.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah.
There.
And the others are floating in the Ark. And there's an interesting thing. Rhinox is barking orders at everyone, and Black Arachnia says, "I need a conduit cable to finish the connection." And she looks over and she rips Rat Trap's tail off him. And Rat Trap says, "Oh, hey, you emasculating fembot." And she like grips his tail, like smirking, and then with her claws clips the tail like off so that she has like a metal rod. And when she clips the tip off, Silverbolt watching goes, "Oh."
Just
And
the
I'm
tip.
like, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? I love that exchange, but what the heck? Well, now we know what they get up to.
Well, now we know that Silverbolt is not circumcised. No.
No. He winced when he saw the Rat Trap's tail, the tip of his tail get cut off.
Yeah.
So she uses his tail as a cable. And I love this. She's like, "Yes, now the main thrusters are connected to Teletron 1. And Rat Trap's like, "It's Teletran."
Actually.
Yeah, he's like, "It's Teletran." And she's like, "Oh, whatever." And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. There are two A's in there. So to me, that reads as Teletron.
Yeah.
So.
Teletran.
Teletran, man.
Teletran.
Don't have a Teletran, man.
Don't have a Teletran 1, man. So Rhinox is like, "Pedal to the metal, kids. Yeehaw." And he like pulls a fucking lever. But I don't know what they're doing.
They're trying to like get the Ark into the air, but it's not working.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough power.
Optimus bursts on into the bridge of the Nemesis. And it's like, oh shit. It's the final showdown between Boss Monkey and Boss Lizard? Yeah.
Boss Dragon.
Boss Dragon.
Yeah,
I love this. Megatron is like grimacing at him, and he's like, "Oh, well, come on, let's have it. The usual destiny and honor speech."
And Optimus is just like, "Speech this," and fucking clocks him in the face.
And I'm like, I can't remember who is the guy that wrote this.
Simon Furman.
Fucking thank you. I think this is pretty good.
And Dino Clone,
I like a lot of it.
Dino Clone 2 loves it too because he smiles and chuckles.
He's like chuckling to himself.
Yeah.
And just watching.
Yeah. Not doing anything.
We cut back to the Ark a little bit, and Rhinox is like pulling levers, and he's like, "Fuel pumps! Go on! Behind Red Alert, just kick his corpse to the side." And Silverbolt's like, "Which one is Red Alert?" And he's like, "I don't know."
God damn it! Hook some jumper cables up over there to Starscream. He's one of them Deceptichops anyway. Eehaw!
We'll use their spark for energy.
Who cares if he does?
It's us or them. And honestly,
Rat Trap, grab me a beer. They're floating over by the mini fridge.
They're floating over by Soundwave. It's humorous because like they should all be floating around in the background, right?
Yeah.
All the Autobots in this.
Yeah, but they're not.
Rhinox is in the captain's seat. So where's Optimus Prime? Is he like just chunking around somewhere in the air? I wish they had shown that.
Probably would have been too expensive to animate.
So let me get this straight. The there's a volcano going off in the future.
Yeah.
That wakes Teletran 1 up.
Yeah.
But the Criticons and the Maximals.
Mount St. Hilary.
Mount St. Hilary.
Yeah.
but the Predacons and Maximals fucking around, shooting them, activating Teletran, activating the auto cannons, trying to fly this bitch. Nothing.
Yeah.
Look, they meddle hard. They are meddling with the arc so fucking much, and nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They even wake Teletran 1 up to use the ship. Like
Yeah, I know. Like, why wasn't Teletran 1 at this point all like, restore, restore,
restore, scanning
repair
for disguises,
repair, restore, restore.
I will restore the Decepticons first. All of them, not just randomly.
I will restore every single Decepticon first and allow them to leave before I restore Autobots, even though I am Autobot computer.
And the Decepticons will just leave all the Autobots alone and leave the Ark for some reason.
Yeah.
We're talking about the first few episodes of G1, folks.
Which we covered on episode 35 of Too Much Energon, so go back if you want to hear
pretty humorous if you want to hear us review the first few episodes of G1. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing some more G1 episodes. Not the entire series or anything, but some more
cap.
Some more G1 episodes here and there.
We get one of these from Megatron. I can't believe I've seen this on the show. He winds up a punch. Popeye twists up an arm and punches Optimus, and I'm like, awfully comical for a final showdown.
We have seen that before. I think we've seen Rat Trap do that before.
Did he wind up a punch?
Yeah, we definitely have.
We've seen it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I said it, I was like, wait, that does sound familiar. So after the punch to the jaw, Optimus gets up and he spits out one of his teeth.
A very
human tooth.
Yeah, a very human looking tooth.
But we've seen Optimus's parts that look like their teeth, and it's just a metal plate. It's not like Megatron's, which have individual textures.
And for some reason, when he's a dragon, his teeth are all fucked up.
And there's even more spaces in between them.
His teeth are even worse than mine, for Christ's sake.
For Christ's sake. Well, sometimes one must pay for power with beauty.
Everything has
human
a price.
Tooth.
Cheers.
And in my case, it's increasing the gaps between my teeth. Whatever. I can shoot ice and fire.
Which I don't think we've seen him do since that one time.
Well, he shot ice once. What? Only once? Yeah.
He shot it when he first got the form. He shot ice and fire. We've seen him shoot fire
in this. Yeah.
We haven't seen ice since.
When he was fighting Tigerhawk, did he shoot ice? No.
No, I don't think so. No.
Well, everything's floating around, and Rat Trap's like, "Come on, Big Green, light this big candle or something." And Rhinox is like, "All right, pedal to the metal, kids, hee-haw!" Puts this shit into 11th gear. And indeed, the Ark's engines spark and ignite and seem to turn and work.
Yes.
I am just as surprised as anyone else. But unfortunately, the Rat Trap tail cable burns out.
Yeah.
And the engines power down. Yep.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find exactly where we are.
Around 1411.
Okay.
The part where Megatron's lecturing Optimus with the fucking Bible in his hand. There came a hero.
Hurt not the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, nor the very fabric of time. But the hero would not prevail.
And Optimus is like, "Finish the quote, Megatron." And
nor would he surrender.
Continues.
Yeah. And he leaps toward Megatron. And Megatron grabs him with his dragon head hand and
he grabs Optimus right by the head.
Yeah. And like,
and
I don't
like
know, cyber venom
electrocutes him.
or
Cyber
something.
dragon venom. Yeah, cyber venom.
Something.
Because he like flashes red and purple.
He's like
Like
shorting
he's
out now.
weak. There's a slow motion part where Megatron's like walking towards him, but it's just choppy and at like 5 frames per second. It's weird. We've seen it before on the show, folks.
Yeah, it's their version of slow-mo, is just like lowering the frame rate. It's
So basically,
pretty comical.
Yeah. So basically, Megatron is kicking Optimus's butt now, and he throws him in front of Dinobot.
Yeah.
Back on the Ark, they're still getting sucked up into the tractor beam, and Rat Trap's doing Rat Trap shit. No power, no weapons. We're all gonna die. And this time, Rhinox looks up at him, and he's like, "Yep."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Oh, oh." Is that the first time anyone's agreed with that statement?
Victory is at hand. And Dino Clone 2 is like, a coward's victory. The Ark is defenseless. Not much sport in this. So,
Yeah.
the old Dinobot's coming back.
Yeah, not much sport in it. It is a coward's victory.
It is, yeah. And Dinobot has a moment where, like, his eyes kind of perk up. And he, like, looks around. And then he starts, like, doing some typing on the Nemesis computer panel, and he brings up a schematic of the Ark, and he zeroes in on like one
a secret compartment.
Like a secret section of it, and he
looks really satisfied with his work.
Yeah, he smiles and nods to himself, and he transmits that to those schematics that he just he transmits them to the Ark.
To the Ark, so that the Maximals can see. And indeed, up on a monitor, we hear Teletran say, incoming Class 3 emergency data.
Yeah.
And it homes in on the secret compartment.
Yep.
Cheetor is like, "Oh, what does this mean?" Rhinox is like, "We might just have a weapon. Come on, kids!" And he jumps off the comically gigantic captain's chair. He looks like a little kid jumping off of a couch.
So so he was on the like huge like captain's chair.
Yeah.
Where was Optimus Prime?
That's what I was trying to say. Did they just float around the room? They're just pushing gigantic Autobots and Decepticons out of the way?
Yeah, like
it didn't even show where they were.
Dragantron is in dragon mode and is all like, "I am Alpha and Omega, optimal Optimus."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now and forever. Until the end of time.
Now, while they're helpless, like little children, fire! Destroy them! And Optimus yells Megatron no, and Megatron, in his dragon form, lights Optimus on fire.
Yeah. Burns him.
As Optimus like cries out in pain. And I'm like, oh, Megatron beat him. Shit.
Yeah, and so the thing that Dino Clone sent to the Maximals on the Ark was the existence of an Autobot shuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
and we get a history lesson from Black Arachnia. She's like, wait a second. The history archives never mentioned anything like this. Remember how we joked when she was a Maximal, she was a librarian?
Yeah.
Here she is talking about history, and she's like, yeah, this wasn't in the history books.
And indeed, Rhinox, because if they take the shuttle...
Self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah,
if they take the shuttle, then there would be no shuttle in the future.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense. Good catch.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhinox is like, it's not in the history books because history's still being made, girl. Yeehaw! Everybody in.
Yeah, and Fusion
Sorry,
Cannon.
You were saying
Fusion
Alpha, Omega, blah blah blah.
Yeah, Fusion Cannon is at full power. The Autobot shuttle launches, and Dragantron orders Dino Clone to destroy them. And Dino Clone hesitates and turns, and then like snarls and is like negative.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
He's talking to him in dragon form, which is just humorous to me. Because there's a dragon behind Dinobot's shoulder, like, rah, 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 destroy them. It's just weird that there's a dragon on the show.
Why?
Yeah, but I like it.
What possible reason do you have to disobey me? I am your creator. I am your master. And
While this is happening, it briefly cuts to briefly cuts to the Ark, and the others are seeing Rhinox off. Rhinox is in the shuttle, and the others are like, Silverbolt salutes him, and they watch him fly off.
Right. Yeah.
Straight towards the Nemesis.
Yeah, I didn't mention that it was just Rhinox in the shuttle.
It's just Rhinox. Yeah. So Rhinox is doing some all or nothing
potential suicide mission shit. And
interesting that it's Rhinox. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying, what possible reason do you have to disobey me? He seems so shocked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is Dinobot's clone. How is this a shock to you, boy?
And this moment gave me chills when I first watched this episode, when it originally aired, when I was 14 years old.
Man, this must have rocked.
And even now, watching it, I'm like, it's such a like stand up and like cheer moment, because Dinobot.
I get chills.
Dinobot responds to Megatron by saying, "And I have my honor." Dinobot's back. It's brief, but Dinobot's back.
Yeah, and Megatron freaks out, grabs him, and tosses him across the room. I thought he was gonna like rip him in half or something, and he lands right beside the downed Optimus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, "Stand aside, traitor."
Yep.
And observe as I fulfill my destiny. And in the background, while he's giving this, man, Megatron, you talk too much.
Yeah, he's like a Bond villain.
Yeah, we've said that many times. And as he turns around to press a big red button, he like looks up. I love this. And his eyes go wide, and then Dinobot and Optimus both look at each other. And Megatron's like, "Ooh, what?" He says what in a lot of funny ways on the show. This is the most I've heard him. This is the most I've heard him be afraid. So, good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good job with that.
And Rhinox.
And it's Rhinox, like a fucking boss sitting in a gigantic Autobot chair.
Yeah, he fucking kamikazes this shuttle right through the bridge of the Nemesis.
And he says, "For everything that ever was. Yeehaw!" And he's yelling, and as it cuts to Rhinox yelling, it cuts to Megatron yelling too. And he smashes through like the window, the plexiglass, whatever it is, and just nails Megatron.
Yeah.
And cuts through the ship and exits out the other side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. Like, you could have just destroyed the bridge, but like he also hit Megatron. Had to be Rhinox, man.
Yeah.
I've been complaining that he's been on like babysitting duty for like a season and a half.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, he's still in his like base form that he got at the beginning of the show. So
maybe he can't, as far as like weapons and defenses go, maybe he can't really hold a candle when it comes to fights against all the transmetals and the fusors.
No, I think it's just Hasbro is like, well, no one's buying Rhinox toys anymore.
He's in the background. He's doing Rhinox things. Don't worry about it. But Christopher and I have said on the show, Rhinox is actually one of our more favorite characters now that we're watching it as adults.
Yeah. I didn't think much of him like I liked him when I was a kid, but I didn't really think much of the character.
He
But like
was eh.
watching it as an adult, Rhinox is legit like up there for being one of my favorite characters.
He's fucking rad.
He's like he's top 3 for me. Megatron is still probably number 1.
I think he's at least top 4.
I think for
I
me,
think yours is Megatron, Rat Trap, and then Rhinox.
Megatron, Dinobot,
Sorry,
and
Dinobot, Rhinox. Oh, he beats Rat Trap. I think for me it's hard. I'll think about it. I can't really place them.
We'll talk about that on a future episode.
Maybe we'll do our top 3 favorite and our least 3, top 3 hated. Yeah.
We'll talk about that maybe on our like 25th anniversare, like
something
too much
like
Energon extravaganza episode.
Yeah. Energon extravaganza. So we're almost done the finale of Beast Wars. Optimus still in the bridge as presumably the Nemesis is going to blow the fuck up, or at least crash again. He turns to Dinobot after seeing like that he just turned against Megatron, even if not physically, in spirit, right? Like he refused to follow his orders, and he yells, "Save yourself!"
Yeah.
And I guess he can't be, well, or he doesn't try or whatever, because his last words are, "Farewell, Optimus Primal." And indeed, there's not really enough time, because as the Nemesis's bridge is blowing up, Optimus is forced to super ape away.
Yeah.
It wasn't a matter, like, there wasn't even a second or two for anyone else to get off.
I feel like this was a fitting end for Dino Clone 2.
You know what? That was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Like, how fucking fitting it is for Dino Clone to thwart, even if it's just thwarting him for 10 seconds, just long enough to turn the tides. Yeah. And keep in mind, the whole reason Rhinox got to do his suicide mission was because of his Dino Clone sneaky sending him the schematics of the Ark.
Yeah.
So good on you. Good on you, Dino Clone.
May you rest in peace, good sir.
Rip in pieces in the halls of Cyber Valhalla.
Silicone Valhalla is what
Silicone Valhalla.
Is what he called it. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that is actually what he called it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, right.
In the Low Road, he mentions Silicone Valhalla.
Yeah, that's I actually completely forgot. I'd always said he's like a Viking or samurai or whatever.
Same.
But
yeah.
Would it be interesting if, let's say, there is a Silicon Valhalla? I think that Dinobot and Dino Clone would definitely be in it, given the prerequisites needed to enter Valhalla.
Yeah.
I like thinking that they meet each other. Dino Clone and Dinobot meet each other, and they do like the Spider-Man meme where they're like pointing at each other. Maybe. And the first Dino Clone is in there too, but he's only in his raptor form.
A bunch of cyber raptors are just hanging out, like watching,
jumping around. So the Nemesis, it's crashing.
Yep. Shit goes down.
It goes off in the horizon. I don't actually think they see where it lands. So presumably, if this is all a self-fulfilling prophecy, it lands back in the water somewhere.
No, I think in G1 they actually find the Nemesis like crashed out in the desert or something.
It was in the water, and they try to make a new one, don't they? Or the second one lands in the water.
I'm looking it up.
We just watched this, people. I swear, we're fans.
No, I'm looking up specifically where it's found in the G1
G1.
cartoon.
Why am I remembering water? Is the second one they? Oh, Christopher, that's why. Remember when Mirage crashes it? He like blows a bunch of shit up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the one that lands in the water.
So that lands in the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Uh, yeah.
But
So
that's
that
the second one. They built that from scratch.
well, that's the same Nemesis. That's this ship. Okay, so that ship crashed into the water in that episode, which is why in this episode of Beast Wars they find the Nemesis in the water. It
But when they
doesn't.
crashed that, that's in modern times on G1,
No,
right?
that was 4 million years ago, and then the show jumps ahead 4 million years to 1984.
Oh, sorry. So before they were all in stasis, it crashed where?
Uh,
The Nemesis?
it crashed into the ocean, which is why Megatron finds it in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's an episode in 1985 of G1 where the wreck of the Nemesis is discovered in a desert in South America.
Okay, so that's what you were thinking of.
So, actually, it's kind of cool because this kind of brings it full circle because in the G1 cartoon, we see it in the beginning of the series crash into the water. And then
Right, but there's no one on it, correct?
there's no one on it. So
And then they build a new one?
no, they don't build a new one. No, and so in these episodes of Beast Wars, which are sometime between 4 million years ago when they crashed
In modern day.
and modern day, this Megatron pulls it out of the water and gets into a battle, and then it crashes on land somewhere we see in the horizon. And then in an episode of G1, in season 2, presumably because it's 1985, not 1984, they find it in South America underground.
So it does kind of bring it full circle.
It brings things full circle.
The first Nemesis.
No, there's
only
only one Nemesis. It's
okay.
ship.
I don't know why I confused myself. The Nemesis crashed in the water millions of years ago.
Yeah.
But the Decepticons were boarding the Ark in space.
Yeah.
Which is why they're all on the Ark.
Yeah. It's a weird plan to me to abandon your like mega powerful warship, just like bring everyone to board the enemy ship. But
well,
okay.
Good thing Teletran woke.
Yeah, good thing. Yeah.
Why am I thinking that they built a different ship?
Well, they built
gathering Energon.
Well, they built another ship. It's not the Nemesis.
But it's not the Nemesis. Right.
They built another ship in More Than Meets the Eye.
Really quickly.
Yeah, very, very
like a
quickly.
Week. Those Decepticons are industrious folk.
So
it does. It makes sense.
Yeah, so
it all lines up.
Yeah, so basically, like, it seems like this was like a goof in G1 where they're like, in the first episode, it crashes into the ocean, but then, like, in season 2, they find the Nemesis not crashed into the ocean, like, but crashed in South America somewhere. So Beast Wars is actually
seem like a goof.
It totally does. So, but Beast Wars here is explaining how the Nemesis got from being underwater to being...
It's fixing that plot hole.
Yeah.
Beast Wars 1.
G1.
G1 0.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's
I like that.
True.
It actually fixes a plot hole.
Yeah, I would say Beast Wars 1,
true.
G1 0 is generally true most of the time.
Yeah. From what I've seen.
Even as much as we complain about seasons 2 and 3 of Beast Wars. Yeah, speaking of Beast Wars, so
Optimus.
They fly off in the shuttle into space.
So it wasn't a kamikaze.
Yeah. Well, it could have
But
been. It seemed like it could have been.
I
But
thought Rhinox was like, I'm back. And he was pulling like an Independence Day into the
yeah.
into the ship. But no, he sniped Megatron right out of the ship.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're all on that shuttle going home. The shuttle has a transwarp capability.
Yep.
And indeed, they're off they go, leaving everything there. Leaving the arc very exposed, though. They're actually leaving. They're going home.
They're leaving. They're going home. And Optimus says some
Optimus bullshit from
Optimus
a Bible,
bullshit
cyber
at
Bible.
this point.
There will, in the darkest hour, there will be a light.
And Rat Trap's like, oh, best thing is we don't need to see Mega Ugly's ugly mug until we get back to Cybertron.
There's a one thing that he says that I like when he references Dinobot, because Optimus is like, in the darkest hour there will be a light, right? Rat Trap is like, yeah, from a very an unexpected source. Old Chopper Face's clone. Who would have thunk it?
Certainly not me. No.
I was not. No. I am very pleasantly surprised.
And so the Autobot shuttle jumps into transwarp. We see as it's flying away that
you were saying that he said at least we don't have to hear from Megs.
Yeah, basically
the whole trip.
Because Megatron is strapped outside the shuttle to the back of it. So, yeah,
and indeed he's got like energy bindings on the outside of the ship, and he's just screaming, flailing helplessly.
Yeah, I feel like having someone
destroying
outside
him would be okay.
Well, no, but I feel like having someone like chained to the outside of the ship when you go into transwarp. Maybe not the best idea, and that might be a thing that comes up in a certain show that follows this one
that we may or may not cover,
that we may talk about, perhaps talk about.
Oh, I forgot. There's a false ending. There's two endings. I completely forgot.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh my God.
I was all ready to be like, and they jump into transwarp back to Cybertron. Series over, folks.
The camera, it's nighttime. There's a full moon, and it shows that the humans, the proto-humans, are like living in huts now. And there's like tribal music playing, and we see Quick Strike's arm, but one of them's just using it as like an air, like musical instrument.
It's like a trumpet
blowing through it.
Yeah.
One of the apes is like banging on Inferno's head like a fucking drum. They're using Quick Strike's claws to hold like a rotisserie chicken over a flame. They're actually using Inferno's butt as a fire, as a barbecue. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
I just caught that.
Funny. So
and one of the kids has Quick Strike's face as a mask.
That's how Neanderthals discovered fire.
It's canon.
Yep.
It's true.
That's
and there's like
history, folks.
There's a throne, and there's a bunch of apes like holding frongs, right? And they like pull the leaves away, and on a throne, Waspinator sits.
Yeah.
And he's drinking like a fucking pina colada with an umbrella in it. and go ahead, you can do it good. Your Waspinator's close to your heart.
And Waspinator, he's looking pretty happy. He's living the high life, and he says, Waspinator happy at last.
That's how it fucking ends, people.
And that
Waspinator leads mankind. He didn't want to fight.
And you know what? Good for Waspinator, and I'm glad he finally.
I'm so happy.
I'm glad he finally found his calling in life.
Fuck all the Predacons except Waspinator. Man. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're done, people.
Yeah.
We're fucking done.
We did it. I can't believe it.
That's Beast Wars. Every single fucking episode right here.
Yeah, we covered all 52 episodes of Beast Wars over the course of nearly a year now. At the time of recording, it is July 1st. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Canada Day. I like to call it Great Value Brand 4th of July.
President's Choice 4th of July.
Yeah. Yeah, we recorded our first episode of Too Much Energon on July 30th of 2020, and it's now July 1st, 2021, and we have finished Beast Wars.
We've finished the Beast Wars once and for all.
We did. It's I don't know. It's this is the first thing that I've done in a long time. The first creative endeavor that I've done in a long time where I've actually completed it. Actually done it.
Every fucking week, man. Sans, what was it? Christmas.
It was 2 weeks over the course of New Year's. Christmas and New Year's. Where we didn't do any recording, but
and this is your first laser comb production.
It is, yeah. And
yeah.
Now we have several other podcasts that we do. Going strong. Every last one of them. Except that one that has fallen behind schedule.
Saturday?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The mistake is believing a certain someone when he says, "Oh, I'll catch up on that this weekend. I'll make a point of doing it." I should have known. I should have just stepped in. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It is what it is.
'Tis the season. But we did it.
Yeah, and I mean, thanks to everyone who's listened along the way. And if you're discovering this after the fact, thank you anyway. And thank you, NeoCal, for doing this show with me.
Yeah, just to
sincerely.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate it, and we'll talk maybe a bit more about it at a recap and other episodes or whatever. But if anyone's catching this, Christopher Siege was like, man, I need to get around to doing one of the projects I'm doing. I keep saying I want to, and fuck it. You know what? Do you want to do a Beast Wars thing? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'm doing this Beast Wars thing. No, I'm doing it. I haven't seen it all. It's going to be going in, all that I just watched, that Christopher and I just talked about. That was the first time I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the show has been like that. Maybe half, the second half of it. And I want to say thank you, Christopher Siege, for inviting me to the Too Much Energon. Thank you to the listeners too. When we started it, we had no idea there's a comic coming. We had no idea that War for Cybertron was going to tie into Beast Wars. We didn't know there's a movie. There's a movie which we ranted about at the beginning of this.
Yep.
We were just like, fuck it, Beast Wars.
Didn't even know there were other Beast Wars podcasts that exist.
We didn't.
No, not at all. I was like, there's no way, we're
gonna get 10 listeners.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way there's been another Beast Wars podcast. I have found 3 that exist. One of them has not been updated in a decade.
Well,
one
they beat us to it by a decade.
Another one finished up a couple of years ago. They follow our Too Much Energon Twitter account, so shout out to them, Axelon Archives.
Mm-hmm.
And another one is Stasis Lock, but they seem to more. I've listened to a few of their episodes. One of their hosts, Candace Santora, has been on a couple of episodes of this show. Friend of the show, Candace, so shout out to her. Might have her on the show again. Who knows? Hopefully. Their show is still going strong, so if you don't want to hear us, if listening to us like joke about fucking eye lasers and Cheetor saying some Cheetor bullshit just isn't enough, and you're looking for other ways of covering Beast Wars, maybe go check their show out.
Yeah.
With that in mind, here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes on the Too Much Energon scale, which ranges from not enough Energon to a significant amount of Energon. Sufficient. Fuck. It's late and I'm exhausted, people.
Yeah.
Sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad, okay, good.
Yeah.
Cal of the Neo, my friend and co-host, how are you going to rate the final episodes of Beast Wars?
Nemesis Part 1 was setting things up, made me go, really? Had a lot of Looney Tunes shit.
Mm-hmm.
But holy shit, that Part 2,
Part 2 is significantly better than Part 1.
As a whole, it gets a copious, large, striped, juicy, too much energon. I fucking love it. Even there are dumb parts, but like the people I don't like are dead. The people I do like are alive. They fucking catch Megatron. Man, there's some like Dinobot, like completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
We get some Dinobot feels. Too much energon. It definitely is great.
I'm gonna say the same. A resounding too much energon. There's some dumb shit, like you were saying. There's some Looney Tunes stuff that doesn't really fit.
Dynamite Trap.
Yeah, Dynamite Trap. Episode, like, the whole, like, the whole mission that Megatron, which you argued, like, was just to get rid of the idiots, but the whole, like, mission to find a new base that Megatron sends Inferno and Quick Strike and Waspinator on, like, it serves no purpose at all.
Which is why you just want to get rid of them. And then he blows them up later. It's great.
Depth Charge dies. I didn't like him, so I'm like, good riddance. But at least they actually like resolved that storyline. Between him and Rampage.
Probably the best underwater sword fight scene in the world. Prove me wrong.
Episode 2, way better than episode 1.
Way better than it has any right being.
Yeah, I love the Dinobot stuff, and the shit with the Nemesis is really cool. I found the them like reading the Cyber Bible verses like got kind of old, but
they did it. They should have done it at the beginning, and then at the end.
Yeah,
they do it a lot.
Megatron has some funny lines, and
Waspinator gets a vacation.
Yeah, Waspinator is finally happy. Quick Strike.
And he's leading the humanity to great heights.
Quick Strike is dead.
Yes.
And our heroes go back to Cybertron. So
they get to go back with Black Arachnia and who's the new and Silverbolt.
Silverbolt, yeah. Megatron planning to destroy the Ark while it had his ancestors on board. Questionable. Feels like a big plot hole. And to be honest, I think the writer it just didn't occur to the writer.
Or they were like, fuck it, Megatron's crazy.
Yeah, or that. But yeah.
My biggest complaint, other than some Looney Tune stuff, blah blah blah, whatever. It's a kids show, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the Maximals didn't really get to do much. They just kind of sat around in their base.
Yeah, that's fair. Getting sucked up by a tractor beam just floating around.
No, they didn't do
But
much. Cheetor, Black Arachnia, Rhinox certainly did, but
yeah, Rhinox
still
got to
great.
go all like suicide mission.
Yeah. Hold my beer. Might not be coming back. Yeehaw.
Wait, let me take one more swig of it before I go. All right, thank you very much.
I drive better when I'm drunk anyway. Megsy, here I come.
So a resounding too much energon for the final episode of Beast Wars. Yeah,
it is done.
We did it.
We did it.
I've had some people on social media be like, "Oh, Beast Wars is done, so it's been a wild ride," and like sorry to see that you're running out of episodes to talk about, because it's been a fun show. We have an announcement to make that we will be making next week about the future of Too Much Energon. But suffice it to say, it may not necessarily be stopping here. So stay tuned, because we will be back next week with episode 47, the actual episode 47 of Too Much Energon, because this was 46.
Look at my notes.
yeah. We'll be back next week with episode 47 of Too Much Energon, where we are going to recap seasons 2 and 3 as a whole. We did very similar to what we did for season 1. We didn't do a recap episode for season 2 because, well, season 1 was 26 episodes, and seasons 2 and 3. Yeah, seasons 2 and 3 are only 26 episodes combined, so now feels like a good time to do a recap episode. So we'll be back next week with that. Maybe count down our favorite episodes and shit talk our least favorites.
Yeah. Oh
boy. Best way to support the show: Patreon. Patreon.com/lasercomb. For a mere $5 Canadian per month, you get access to our Discord server, which is where we make all this wonderful Lasercomb magic happen. And you also get outtake audio from every show that we do each week. So us, like,
if you want to hear us talk shit about non-Beast Wars stuff.
Yeah, basically. About life, the universe, and everything. We release literally hours of content each week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to hear us talk about just show stuff, there's hours of literal, sometimes more than the podcast.
Sometimes, yeah. sometimes that preamble shit ends up being longer than the actual episode. Although this one's going to be a gargantuan.
Yeah,
but
this is a Nemesis-sized episode.
Yeah, but it's fitting, you know? Wherever you're listening to this show, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe, give it a 5-star rating. Any and all of the above helps us out with visibility. And if you like us, tell your friends. Especially if they like Beast Wars. And even if not, tell them anyway. Be like, hey,
do it.
Do it. These two moderately funny, but not quite as funny as Stephen Colbert individuals. But anyway.
True.
Yeah, anyway. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow the show on Facebook or at facebook.com/toomuchenergon, or on Twitter @toomuchenergon. If you want to follow on Facebook, Lasercomb Productions as a whole, facebook.com/lasercomb. There'll be links to every show that I produce. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do so Instagram.com/Christopher Siege, Siege. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. And Cal, where can people find you?
I too, I'm on Twitter. Neo_Cal with a K. That's like my handle for everything.
Yeah.
PlayStation, Steam, Neo_Cal.
Oh shit, you might get like 3 friend requests.
Shit, I shouldn't have said that. I might get like 3 people trying to add me on Steam. Look out.
Uh-oh. Holy shit.
Things getting too much, man. I'm pulling out.
Things getting too much.
Too much.
Whoa,
man, we've got over 50 listens in a month. The fame's getting to me.
If you want to listen to other shows that one or both of us are involved with, Alphanumeric, me, Cal, and 2 other fine individuals do this, but we talk about Reboot, another mainframe show. Me, Cal, and the Snidler also do a show called War Planets, where we talk about yet another mainframe show from the 90s called Shadow Raiders, based on the War Planets toy line. We got a new episode of that dropping very soon.
Oh, very soon.
Me and my partner have a podcast called Based On, where we talk about movies based on books and the books that they're based on. We have a new episode of that coming soon as well, about Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho and the movie that was film adaptation that came out in 2000, starring Christian Bale. One of my favorite books.
I've never read the book, but the movie was a little bananas.
It's the book is even more bananas, and I'm a big fan of Ellis's prose because it reads like someone rambling on coke.
Amazing.
Yeah, which if you know anything about Bret Easton Ellis, like, it's pretty on brand for him. It's getting late here, and we've already been going on for a long time, and I've still got a lot of post-production stuff to do, so we're gonna get out of here. As I mentioned, we'll be back next week with episode 47 of Too Much ENERGON, where we recap seasons 2 of 3. And until then, I have been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I'm your other host, NeoCal.
And until next week, I still have my honor. Actually, I don't. I lost it a long time ago.
It died in the canyon long ago.
Yeah.
Waspinator finally on vacation.
Bye-bye.